And welcome back to Mixed Media Live. We're back for another wonderful Monday with your favorite show, Mixed Media. And this is our live stream podcast. We are here every week, for now, Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, as our little whiteboard says over there. And what we do is we talk about our favorite things and hopefully your favorite things too. And or if not, hopefully might become your favorite things if you watch, listen long enough. And that's basically anything art related. So whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's gaming, we talk about it all. So if you'd like to see any topic with relation to any of those things or more, we have a gigantic catalog of episodes about those things that you can watch the VOD of if you so desire. But before we continue, we should introduce ourselves real quick for those of you who don't know us. So my name is Irving Nestor. I'm a filmmaker and media entrepreneur. I own a company called Ariella based out of Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania.
Hi, I'm Ben Costello. I'm a flute player and media composer.
And I'm Nathan Nestor. I'm a video game developer and 3D modeler.
Sweet, yeah, and sorry for the delay today. My day's been a little bit crazy, and I couldn't get to stream fast enough, so we're 15 minutes late. Not the worst late, believe it or not. I think when we were just starting, we've been like an hour late before, so, at least we have an audience now to appreciate the late, so there you go. But yeah, no, welcome back to the show. It's always great to see everyone every week and just talk about our favorite things and just laugh and have fun and learn together. It's always a good time. So, yeah, how was your guys' weeks?
Sorry. Yeah. I think it was all right. I was trying to work on that bot that that we mentioned in Discord for like a random quote generator for various art people, I guess. So I was trying to make it so that there's this thing called Wikidata, which is created by the Wikimedia Foundation, I think it's called. The people who the parent company, parent company to Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. And Wikiquote and Wiktionary and stuff like that. So they have this thing called Wikidata, which is nice, and it's just like a large, easily queryable bank of just information, essentially. So it's very easy and trivial to do a query for all video game developers, which it's not going to literally be all video game developers, obviously, but it'll be all a good portion of famous video game developers, right? So in their database they have 652, I think, or something. So I mean that's more than enough people to quote from, probably, right? But the issue was okay, so I have their names, how do I get a quote from them? And the idea was to use Wikiquote because Wikiquote is also a Wikimedia Foundation thing. But the issue is that they're not connected with the Wikidata database, and they have no easy to use API, which means that it's just it's very surprising to me. It's this is the simplest thing to make an API for, because literally you just need to list quotes. I give you a name, you give me quotes. It's the simplest thing. But
there must be no demand for it, because how many people need it?
Yeah, I don't know. Which makes me wonder, did Alex make the Chester bot himself? And if so,
yeah.
I gotta know how he did it. Okay, so I don't know if he just went to oh wait, it's in the description. Chesterton.org. Is that what has the quotes on it? It just says thanks to that.
I guess so.
I wonder if that's what the quotes are. I don't see anything at first glance, but maybe, I don't know. He'll have to comment on that, I suppose. So yeah, I was thinking that maybe just getting just filtering it to a few game developers or something, and then I've only been working with game developers now. I'm pretty sure it's easier for musicians and directors and whatnot and other film people, just because they're a lot more prominent in terms of them saying things specifically. So there's that, and I think their whole website's dedicated to these kinds of things. Whereas I couldn't find any sort of a video game developer website for quotes and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not sure what to do about that. And even Wikiquote doesn't have an extensive thing. So I said I got 652 quotable people, but I very recently, like a couple like minutes ago, I was like, okay, but how many does WikiQuote actually have? And they have them categorized by like occupation, and then you can go to like video game developer or something like that, and it's like 20 something, I think, which is also still like a lot when you think about it. Like could be a lot of quotes. Like it's like everyone has on average 5 quotes. Like that's like over 100 quotes already, right? So, but yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. But yeah, that's what's been going on. Also, I got a CD case. I posted that in Discord. I can't really. It's far away, so I can't really show it right now, I guess. But
incentive to go to the Discord.
Yeah. Check out mixedmediapodcast.com from link to Discord. And more reason to hate the Porter Robinson CD is that it's not a standard size, so it barely fits. Like I had to squeeze it in there. It's like, come on, like is there no redeeming quality about the CD? Like
the music's pretty great.
Yeah, but like I don't know, like a CD is not technically necessary for the music. So it's like I don't understand. Like it failed in every aspect. Just a standard size as the simplest thing. It's like almost there too. It's like it's not like it would have like majorly changed anything about it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like oh, we couldn't fit the text on the page anymore. No, it's like make your margins like a millimeter smaller or something, and then you're good. I don't know, but yeah, that's been my week.
Cool. How about you, Ben?
Been thinking a lot about counterpoint this week. And different kinds of counterpoint and different styles of music. I guess we're going to talk about breadth study of music in a couple of weeks, going off of what I talked about last week, in terms of depth study of music. Yeah, so just I don't know, some interesting studying of scores and thinking about counterpoint, different kinds of counterpoint, and ways it can be used. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, my week has been crazy busy, and I was crazy busy today, which is partly why late today, although I was feeling a little bit a little bit under the weather earlier as well, which kind of contributed. So my topic today will be super casual because I'm exhausted. So, but last week, let's see what happened last week. Yeah, just tons of client work, trying to get through. Got new clients, which is great, always great. But trying to get through the backlog before my trip in late September. Kind of have a lot of worries about that trip because I need time to prepare, and I'm still kind of getting through my backlog, and that's kind of crazy. So dealing a lot with that kind of stuff. Have been ordering a lot of goodies because of that trip, though. If you don't know, I'm going to Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas, to do a scan of 400,000 square feet to create a digital archive of the space, which is an insane project, but is being totally funded by a nonprofit, which is very gracious of them. But should be a fun trip that will be live streamed on my YouTube channel. Oh, I'm working on a YouTube video as well that's coming out this week, which I haven't posted in a while, but like my videos take me for freaking ever to finish, just because of the way I do it, and also because it's not my full-time job, unlike a lot of YouTubers. So, just trying to fit it in here and there. But I'm thinking this coming few weeks is going to be me back into YouTuber mode. It shouldn't be the only video coming out in the next month and a half or so until my trip, because I got to make a lot of videos publicizing what I'm doing for my trip. So if you're interested in any of that, live streams of the trip or like stuff like this, you go to youtube.com/@Ariella. I think that's how it works now. So yeah, and you can check out my channel. But yeah, just very busy, kind of tired.
I have some new news for my week.
Okay.
I got an email 2 minutes ago saying that a new CD arrived, which is Dreams by Elephant Gym, which is a Taiwanese math rock band whose like interesting feature is that one, there's bass tapping. I didn't know it was a thing.
It's what?
But, like bass tapping, like tapping on the fretboard of the bass to make noise rather than like strumming.
Oh, on bass guitar. I don't know why. I
Yes.
thought the first thing that came to mind was a bass drum. I was very
Oh,
confused.
yeah, tapping on the bass drum. No,
Okay.
on the bass guitar, and that being a sort of bass being a very like I don't like it doesn't take the it's not like a it's hard to put roles on the instruments in that band aside from okay well there's only three members, right? There's a drummer, or I guess general percussionist, because sometimes there are things other than the standard drum set that are being played, electric guitarist and bassist, right? And typically, like in rock, the electric guitar would be like the lead role. You might consider that, and like a three-person thing, right? But like, I don't know how to explain it, but that's just like I don't think I can really put roles on it on that band. It's something between the bass and the guitar doing that stuff. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Wait, what's the band called? Because I'm still looking for good new music.
Elephant Gym.
Elephant Gym.
I don't think that album is new. In fact, I'm certain it is not. Some of the songs are quite old. So I don't even know if they've released anything recently.
I haven't been able to get into a lot of like actual math rock, despite the amount of guitar music I've been listening to lately.
Well, I have never listened. Maybe it's like I don't know. It's like some issue or something. But I've never listened to like Tool or anything like that. Or is it Tool? That's Tool's math rock, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, that's a prog band.
Or am I thinking of Korn? Is Korn math rock?
No, that's a metal band.
That's metal. Wait, what's the the quintessential math rock band? American math rock band. That's not Polyphia. It's like older, like far older.
Polyphia's not math rock either.
Okay, it's like virtuosic, strange rhythm.
Math rock needs like
the math
weird
rock
time
build.
signatures in order to be math rock.
Yeah.
I think that's required.
Okay, but Polyphia has like at least what do you call those? Like odd subdivisions, you know. I think the
Polyphia?
drummer's doing some wild things sometimes. Yeah.
Maybe like occasionally. I still wouldn't call it a math rock band.
Interesting, but it's sort of. I feel like it kind of like fits the. Also, it has like there's no vocals, which I guess is not like a necessity. But, I feel like it fits the vibe, but I suppose it's different. Yes,
It's as
Tool-
technical as a math rock band. I would say that.
Why does Tool keep standing out to me as like someone who's math rock? Is it actually not?
They
math
have
rock?
odd technique. I guess you could, but like it's not as like it's not as
art rock,
mathematical,
apparently.
as math rock.
See,
What is a musical genre?
That's the wider question.
oh boy,
I guess a common language, right? A common set of tools.
a common set of descriptors. I don't know.
I don't know.
Well,
The harder you
that's-
try to define a genre, the more elusive it is.
yeah.
Right?
Oh,
There are no rarely any hard borders and things.
No, this is true. But
Gotcha.
I think though math rock still require. I think as a fundamental requirement, it requires odd time.
Yeah, probably. I think literally. I think that's probably the most core thing to it.
Yeah.
And also, I was thinking of Toe, not Tool. Toe, which is not even
Oh,
American.
okay.
They're Japanese. I don't know why I thought they were American. But
Never heard of them.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're like people who are mentioned. Like, oh, even Elephant Gym's mentioned on this Wikipedia page. Interesting. I think they were that big, actually. Interesting. Yeah, actually, I don't recognize most of these names. I only recognize Toe, Trico, and Elephant Gym.
Yeah, I think my problem with math rock is a lot of it is very sterile and almost feels academic, if that makes sense. Like Tool uses odd time all the time. I'm not the biggest Tool fan, but like I think I appreciate the artistry of like the sort of technicality of Tool better than most math rock I've heard. It's kind of just like almost feels like an exercise, if that makes sense.
I see. So, speaking of counterpoint, is listed as one of the main features on the Wikipedia page. So it says, if you want the characterization, it says, is characterized by complex atypical rhythm structures, including irregular stopping and starting, counterpoint, odd time signatures, and extended chords. It bears similarities to post-rock, which is like kind of a large genre.
Yeah, it's huge.
But sounds like you're saying, I don't know, similarities to like something massive. I don't know what that means exactly. But okay. Wait, have you tried leaving the United States? Because I'm telling you, man, American rock is like, I don't know what's happening.
Honestly, that's probably the key. Like, American rock is dead. It's so dead. It's
I don't
so
know what's happening here.
sad. But we got to go to Japan. You've got to go to like Germany or something. You've got to go like literally anywhere else to find decent rock music.
Yeah, like on the Wikipedia page, it has like rock bands or math rock bands listed by like region. So there's Asia, Europe, and North America. North America only mentions. I don't know why it says North America because like there's only Californian bands. There's two bands, just two, both led by the same person. So I don't know if that means much.
I don't think
Only in
math
Asia,
rock's the biggest genre ever.
It's not.
It's very niche.
But it's big in Japan, so that would explain
Wow.
why like Toe, I guess, is like the one people think of. Well, I was thinking of at least. And for Asia, it mentions specifically for Japan. Is almost the entire thing is Japan except Elephant Gym. Actually, it mentions like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bands, and then for Europe, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, maybe the United States is not the place.
Woo, we got some drawing. I think that's Ben.
Oh,
Right?
is it? Okay.
Math rock. Yeah. Okay.
I'm wondering if European stuff is also older too, because these things are all mentioned like from 90s to early 2000s. And then for Japan, it says math rock has a significant presence in Japan. So I don't know how that happens, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
suppose that's the place.
Yeah. Yeah, I just need to I need to find the music that's coming out today that's good, It seems so elusive to me. Well, wait. I think Ben, didn't you recommend a jazz album
Yeah.
last time? I didn't listen to it yet.
Yeah,
was it?
Voices. The Danny Giannacucci Big Band. I think I linked it in the put it in the description or something, or put it in the comments.
Okay.
I think it was in the chat. I think I posted. Yeah, I see it's in the chat.
Yeah. Okay.
I posted something else too, and I forgot what I posted the new Covet album. That's what it was. Yeah.
Gotcha.
99
Crimes.
says.
Oh, go ahead.
It says,
Go ahead.
says chiptune always hits.
Chiptune. Okay. I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. News time?
Sure.
I don't know if I have any news. I've been so busy, but I will go on deadline.com right now, which is where I get Deadline is a little ratchet, but a lot of times they have like a little bit more business oriented headlines sometimes, and a lot of times they don't. So we'll find out. So let's see. We've got oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I couldn't find anything interesting music wise. So
Yeah, I feel like entertainment's kind of out of the news right now, but Zendaya wants to play a villain in a future project and hopes to direct one day. Okay, great. If that's your top headline, probably nothing's happening. Bruno Papandreou's production company, made up stories exploring sale. There's some grammar, like a comma goes somewhere that's not there. I don't know what's going on there. Hawaiian Electric Company admits downed power lines caused morning blaze in Lahaina, refuting Maui fire lawsuit claims. Why is this on Deadline? I've never seen a non-media headline on Deadline before. That's funny. Not that the event is funny at all, but not relevant to entertainment directly. And something about remembering Chadwick Boseman. Okay, nothing's happening in entertainment. I've missed nothing, apparently.
There was so little happening. They had to go to non-entertainment.
Right.
the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka came out. There's
Oh, how was that?
I mean, I kind of enjoyed it. It's kind of gotten a really mixed reaction from what I can tell. I don't really see how like it makes any sense if you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels at very least. I mean, like probably makes sense, but like you're missing like 99% of why any of it matters. I don't know. I personally thought it was okay. I just was a little confused by some of the character changes from the characters in the animated show Rebels, but musically it was really interesting. Kevin Kiner's score was fantastic.
Cool. That's good. That's good. At least good music came out of it. I actually just remembered a piece of news. Now that I think about it, the Alec Baldwin case. That was this case is the oddest, like longest criminal. Like I don't know what the heck is going on with it, but it just keeps being things about it. I thought the last update I gave you guys was that the prosecutor had dropped everything for Baldwin, that the guy had egg on his face, the producer. I'm going to even start forgetting their names at this point. The producer, the assistant director, rather, seemed to have a little egg on his face because he took the plea deal, but everyone else didn't have to answer to any charges except for the armorer, who was still under investigation. Although at this point, like a year and a half later, I have no idea what there's left to investigate in this case. It seems as though they've talked to everyone that needs to be talked to and collected evidence that needs to be collected. I happen to watch like quite a few criminal trials. This is bizarre, very bizarre through and through. But now a new prosecutor, a new one, like I've never heard this person before, has come around and said, well, we dismissed them without prejudice, without prejudice. As I mentioned last time, without prejudice means that they can still charge him, so there's no double jeopardy issues anymore. No double jeopardy issues. All they've done is just withdrawn the investigation, right? So there's no double jeopardy issue. So they said without prejudice. So now this prosecutor's saying because of the without prejudice, I'm taking another look at it. I'm like, you got to make up your mind. Like, are you like, what are you doing? What are you guys doing over there? I feel like it's all just politics. I can't explain it otherwise. I don't know what the heck is going on there.
Politics for like public show. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like. You know, prosecutors
get your 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, the prosecutor just wants to be in the headlines, so just said, yeah, I might look at prosecuting Alec Baldwin again. It's like, okay, at some point, like, you know, you're either going to prosecute or you're not going to. Like, pick one. But I think the armor is still in hot water, which, again, I find offensive if Alec Baldwin is not going to be in hot water as well. So I'm kind of here for it, or you drop it on everybody, you know, and you give me a reason why. Like, normally we don't try these cases, which is the only reason I think would be legitimate, you know, is fair treatment, right? You know, no one's special, no one's not special, etc. So, yeah, I actually remembered that from this week. I think either that happened this week or the week before that. So maybe I'll be doing another episode 2 years later on the Alec Baldwin case. We'll find out. Okay, well, that's our new segment. If you've stuck around watching this whole time, I hope that.
What?
Oh. Oh, did you have news?
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
I guess it's not really the biggest news ever, but Microsoft says that they want to make 4 games a year, release 4 games a year. So I guess one every quarter or something like that. So like for this year coming up, it'd be Age of Empires 4, Starfield, and Forza Motorsports would at least be 3 for this year. And I suppose that's not too okay because they have like they have motorsports, right? Which, you know, it's kind of like or Forza in general, but specifically motorsports. That's kind of like a it's like a get out of jail free card. You know, like it's not that hard to make the new one. You know what I'm saying? It's just the same thing, but it's somewhat upgraded. And there's also been like a ton of hype about Starfield. Starfield had a leak recently, and someone was arrested for selling copies of the game actually. There are a bunch of like random screenshots you can find or whatever. I didn't bother to look at any of them. I don't really think it's that interesting. I think the Starfield type seems a little bit crazy in my opinion. I don't think it's gonna be that good. Maybe it's a hot take. Actually, that is a hot take. Especially based on what we've seen, it's like it's not much. The scary part is like, okay, so people will say, well, it's Bethesda, right? And like if it's anything like Fallout, any of the good Fallouts, it's like Fallout 4 or whatever, or Fallout New Vegas. It's like, it's like, oh, it's like that, but like in space. There's a bunch of planets, and that's cool. And look at all the cool art or whatever. It's like, okay, fair enough. But like the issue I have is like, okay, they say there's over 100 planets you can go to. This already gives me No Man's Sky syndrome of like, okay, we can't obviously craft 100 planets, right? Like that's not possible. Okay, so you're procedurally generating the entire thing, right? And you could say, well, parts of Fallout were also procedurally generated or whatever. Like not that it was different every time. It was procedurally generated once, and then that was sort of like they may have made some tweaks or whatever. But that's the thing, they made tweaks to it. They didn't just procedurally generate it and that was it. They like handcrafted it using some procedural generation, right? Which is that works. But the issue is when you have 100 plus planets, you're not going to handcraft every single planet on top of procedural generation. So a lot of it, I'm sure, was going to be maybe like certain areas. Like I don't know if you spawn on the same planet every single time. I don't know how it works. But if you were to spawn on the same planet every single time, I wouldn't be surprised if that is handcrafted. The planet you start on. But if it's like different every time, or just for the other planets, certainly that stuff isn't handcrafted. So they're gonna have to, in order to make the world interesting and stuff, they better be pulling out some magic here. So yeah, it's like okay, you can even use the Bethesda formula, which one I don't know if it, and preferably do something new. I don't know, but let's say you want to use the Bethesda formula, but in space, and bigger. Like a big key to the Bethesda puzzle is having a world that's like feels alive and feels dynamic. And if it's not handcrafted, then now there's a risk there, right? It's like they could do it well, maybe not. It's a new technique for them, right? That we don't know. So I'm very skeptical, and I just don't believe in like getting hyped about like some screenshots and some very like so honestly kind of boring video. I don't know. Like you look at the gameplay loop, it's like if I were doing that, would I be having fun? Probably not. But that's all I have to say.
That actually reminds me, since you're saying that, and then Kai's in the chat, who says Mixed Media Mondays, absolutely. I have a hot take about City Skylines 2, because I know Kai plays City Skylines 2. Kai says, can you state the Bethesda formula as a math equation?
I suppose it's not that precise. It's not that quantitative.
Yeah. But my hot take on City Skylines 2 is I've kind of been underwhelmed. Like, okay, let me put it this way. If this game were being released 5 years ago, I'd probably be hyped just like everybody else. But given the state of gaming and technology that we're at now, I'm a little underwhelmed, which is probably one of my most hot takes ever, because the community is like so ridiculously hyped that I feel kind of lonely over here in my corner going, I don't know, man. I'll believe it when I see it, like, I don't know, because some of this stuff, like, there's some issues here that I thought would be resolved from the first game, and everyone's just kind of comparing it to the last game, which when a game is 10 years old, I just don't, like, think of it that way, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that, like, it should just stand on its own merits, because it's basically not a sequel at that point, and a city building game doesn't really have sequels in that way anyway, So I just think it's a new city building game, and every time someone says this is improved over what it was before, it's true, it's improved. I'm like, yeah, it's improved, but like I didn't want City Skylines 1.5, you know what I mean? Like like I wanted to see like I think a bigger overhaul of the whole system, but that's the hottest take probably compared to what the average person thinks that I probably ever said.
I see. I asked ChatGPT for a math equation, so I have one now. It is I'll just substitute. It has a bunch of variables. Well, I'm gonna substitute it just what they mean. So Bethesda game formula equals immersive world building plus weird bugs plus big plus quests plus game mechanics. Okay, all games have that. Plus time, it specifies because it's time consuming, plus DLC. That's the formula. Although I feel like that's a kind of you can apply that to other companies like Ubisoft. That's actually also the Ubisoft formula as well. So I feel like this would be a little more specific, but yeah.
Yeah. As you were talking, I was just like, what if Skyrim was procedurally generated? I'd be like, that would be terrible. I actually think that would be awful.
All right, yeah. I don't know. It wouldn't be the same.
No. Kai says, yeah, I'm not tremendously overwhelmed by the graphics. The other features are what I'll be watching for. For example, will there be innate intuitive traffic management without worrying about mods? Absolutely. See, like, people are literally saying, like, the traffic is so much better, I can't wait to add mods to it. I'm like, if that's what you're saying, like, I can't wait to add mods to it. Like, it's already not enough. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yeah, it's better, and I guess the mods will be able to take advantage of the system better. But we've become so, like, the company we're paying is literally the developer of the game, not the modders, who I wish we could pay instead. If that's like the, if that's the model we're going for.
That's the Paradox publisher formula. They do it with Hearts of Iron and Crusader Kings. I'm sure I haven't played it, but I'm almost certain it's for the same formula in terms of what makes it fun. So I realized, like, hey, just give them a little platform. Pretty bad platform, by the way. A pretty buggy platform. But something.
Exactly.
Wet their palate and realize, like what's possible, and then they'll make it possible. I don't have to do anything, So
seriously, I mean, like, I don't know, man. Like, just a game should just be a game on its own, even with DLC like considered. Like, I don't mind City Skylines DLCs, to be honest. Like, maybe that's also a hot take. I don't know. I don't mind the DLC system. I mind the mod-oriented system, though, because DLC is officially supported. I paid for it, so I paid to support the development for that specific DLC and future DLC. The modders are great on City Skylines. They're like probably like the best modders on Steam. Like, like they're like some of the best modders on Steam. They're insane. My city that died on me because of updates, unfortunately, like, that city probably has like literally like 100 hours of detail work or more, honestly, put into it. But it died because of the mods. It's not even that annoys me. It annoys me that the core game itself that I paid for doesn't feel like being a core game. That's what bothers me. And I just wish there was some way I could just compensate the mods for, like, literally making up 65% of the fun of the game, instead of the platform. I just don't want City Skylines 2 to be the same thing. I welcome the mods for City Skylines 2, but, I want the core game to be so fun that I could opt out of mods, and then if I want to add mods, so be it.
Isn't it weird there are no, like, paid mods?
Right? I wish it was a mod store, at least, so that the company has to feel the pain of not making the money by developing it themselves, if you get what I mean. They see how much money said modder is making, they're like, wow, why didn't I do that? Like, that's the better system.
Well, the big like mod manager is Steam Workshop. I guess ModDB isn't really a mod manager, like, it won't like install it for you, but I guess mod distributor, I should say. So Steam Workshop and what do you call it? What did I say? ModDB. They don't like have a way of paying people. I know Steam Workshop doesn't. I'm pretty sure ModDB doesn't. I don't know if the Nexus Mod Manager does or not. I don't know. Like, down their website, no other ads. Wait, do they make people make money off of this? Interesting. Or does Nexus alone make money? I don't know. But yeah, not sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, it says right here, we donated $5 million to our mod authors through donation points. Okay, they make money somehow. Interesting. So I suppose it's possible.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's the news for the day. Shout out to all of our fantastic supporters. 2 of them are in the chat, or more, I'm not sure. 2 of them have spoken in the chat. 99 Crime and Kai. But we also have 3 other awesome supporters. We've got Rob Sharma, we've got Alex Egbert, and we've got, who am I missing? Post. All 5 of them make Mixed Media possible, keep us from dying a horrific bankruptcy death. Maybe I exaggerate, but keep us afloat. But also now we're cash flowing positive, like a few dollars a month, which is like, wow, that's crazy. But if you want to help us out, get over the hump a little bit more so that we can get this show out to more people. It really, really, at this point, this is kind of like, this is the cusp, like where it's like, we could take the show from, I like our little family, that we've kind of created out of Mixed Media, but like, if we could get even more like-minded people, discussing and learning from each other and bringing their own perspectives in Discord and on the show and whatever, that'd be fantastic. And we can only do that if we get a few more donations and we can put up ads, we can get a workflow going better with our media creation, and it would be a lot smoother of a process. So if you want to help get the show out, mixedmedia.locals.com, and you can check out the perks there. And we've got a little Discord private chat for Locals members as well. And that beautiful, wrong way, beautiful live whiteboard that Ben has been drawing on all day can be yours to draw on as well while we talk. You can make fun of us. You can make beautiful art. You can write notes. I know Post has done that before. He's written notes while we were talking on the podcast. And do whatever you want as long as it's not obscene. So that's my plug for mixedmedia.locals.com. Nathan, I assume you're going first.
I'm sure. I don't know.
Do I go first?
I can go first. Sure.
Okay, cool. So first up for today will be Nathan. If you're new to the show, what we do is we do topic, which Nathan is talking about keyboards and gaming. Then we do arguing with Reddit. And then we end the show with our last segment, which is typically a review or an interview, which may be happening sometime soon. So we actually have done interviews in the past, but it's been a very long time since our last interview. So that's the order of the day. Okay. Ready, Nathan?
Ready.
Here we go.
Mixed Media Gaming.
Welcome to Mixed Media Gaming. Today I'll be talking about keyboards and okay, the words on the screen aren't necessarily exactly what I said to Irving. I don't think keyboards are obsolete entirely.
Did you say they were outdated?
Yeah, no, but I meant like we need like an updated. I don't want to spoil it. Okay, we'll leave that as.
There was a little bit of accidental clickbait. Sorry.
Yeah, welcome to Mixed Media Gaming. I'll be talking about keyboards and gaming, and how I think there's a lot of improvements we made there. In that sense, we've seen a lot of improvements in mice and controllers, but keyboards have been like the same thing forever, basically. So I'll talk about that. But yeah, before we start, for those who are not watching on live, I guess we should reintroduce ourselves. So my name is Nathan Nestor. I'm a 3D modeler and a video game developer.
And my name is Irving Nestor. I'm a filmmaker and media entrepreneur. I own a company called Ariella based out of Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania.
Hi, I'm Ben Costello. I'm a flute player and media composer.
Yeah, and so we are artists who talk about art, and if you check out go to mixedmediapodcast.com, you can see all our other content for other fields of art too, and sometimes dance. So yeah. And once again, special thanks to our local supporters, 99 Crime, Kairos, Alex Egbert, Post, and Rob Sharma. Wow, there's so many I'm forgetting their names. That's crazy.
I know, it's a great problem.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess I'll just get into it. So, as I said before, every once in a while, we'll get a new controller or something, especially for like the PS5, for example, right? have new controller and stuff like that, and it looks fancy and whatever. And you get innovations in mice. You have a gaming mouse. Gaming mouse is different than your regular office mouse. Typically has more buttons. Aside from like my mouse has like 5 extra buttons or something like that that are all rebindable to whatever you want them to be. And it can be very convenient because having we'll talk about that later. Why it isn't the greatest time trying to press buttons on a keyboard. Sometimes having it on a mouse is just way more convenient. And we have gaming keyboards, right? But like a gaming keyboard is just a keyboard with like some lights on it sometimes. That's usually what that means. There's not really a functional change in the keyboard. Sometimes you might get keyboards where either like the WASD keys are highlighted as if you couldn't see them originally or something like that. Very useful, of course. Or sometimes you'll have, I guess this is more useful, you'll have software that lets you highlight certain keys that are part of your key bindings, which is pretty cool. Once again, typically you don't really forget the keys that you're using to play your games. I suppose if you're playing a lot of different games with a lot of different bindings and you don't bother to, say, remap your bindings to all be kind of similar throughout your gaming experience, then this can be kind of an issue. I like how, of course, Ben is drawing the musical keyboard. Imagine gaming with one of those. So we haven't really seen much innovation, but there's like tons of innovation that can be put into the keyboard. Because the keyboard is not optimal in any sense. Sometimes I do trade in the keyboard for a controller, which I know is that's like blasphemous for a PC gamer. But especially in specifically racing games, of course, if you want that sort of analog precision, which some keyboards do have, and I suppose there are actually gaming keyboards that have analog keys where the more you push it down, the more it can send a horizontal or vertical axis controller signal. But those are very rare and also very expensive. But I suppose that is one innovation. But for the most part, keyboards are all the same with some extra lights, sometimes with a numpad, sometimes with that one. That's pretty much it. What kind of inspired me was at work, someone sent me an image of a keyboard they were using, or like the style of keyboard they were using, and it was like a detached keyboard. So I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but it's like, imagine just a normal keyboard, right? But you split it in half. So like between like the G and H key, essentially, you split it in half, and it's essentially 2 pieces that connects like with a wire or whatever, or maybe through like Bluetooth or something. I guess it doesn't matter. And this allows you to spread out your arms a little bit, so you can move the left and right pieces further away. And when you do that, if you like put your arms out and imagine this, like if you use a keyboard, like suddenly you feel kind of cramped when you think about it. Like, your arms are like in an unnatural position, like pointing, like really close to each other. When normally if you're putting your arms on your armrest, for example, of a chair, like that's like a pretty natural state to be in, right? Your arms are like shoulder width apart approximately. So if you're able to stretch out the keyboard, that's like actually makes a lot of sense. And I was like, wait a minute, like I never thought about it until I saw it, and then I put my fingers on my keyboard. I'm like, wait, this is so unnatural. Like this is not like now it feels bad. Like even though I've been feeling fine for 2 decades of my life, suddenly I'm like, wait a minute, this actually feels uncomfortable. So I would almost certainly be buying a detached keyboard of some sort. So stay tuned for that. But it occurred to me how absolutely like inhumane the keyboard is when you think about it. Not even specifically for gaming, but just like in general for typing. It really is like it feels like like someone made a prototype of a product for like interfacing with the computer and like, hey, this kind of works, and then no one ever
like
thought
a typewriter, right? That's like basically where it comes from.
Yeah, and like you even have like the archaic keys, like the pause break key that no one's ever noticed probably. But if you look, I think it's typically next to the insert key, at least it is on my keyboard. There's a little pause break key. I'm pretty sure, like my laptop, I'm looking at it, I don't think that has that key, because why would it? No one in the past 20 years has ever used a pause break key, okay? It's not useful in any capacity.
What does it do? I actually don't even know.
I remember I looked it up, and I remember finding out the histories from typewriters, and then I might not have been typewriters, but like just very old computers, essentially. And then I forgot what it was. Whatever it is, I'm pretty sure it's not useful anymore. But for some reason, it's expected that you have that archaic thing in case you're using, I don't know, the first like terminal OS ever made or something. I don't know. I'm not sure what the use case would be. But yeah, that's yeah. Or like the layout of the keys, for example. Why is delete so far away from the rest of your fingers? if the reason why people don't use the delete key is because so far, I'm certain if the delete key was closer, people would use it very commonly. Maybe make backspace, like, because backspace typically is like a bigger key. You make it sort of half with or something like that. And you put the delete there, and the other half, and suddenly you can delete in any direction, right? Which is supremely useful. And I end up using delete a lot, but because I end up having to reach over, and it's like, why? Why is it on it, like on my keyboard? It's like on a little island for my desktop. On my laptop, it's a little bit better. It's like above the backspace key, which is okay. It's a little bit of a reach, but yeah, it works. It's fine. But yeah, you have all these issues, and gamers out here crippling themselves by getting these. I don't know if you've ever noticed this. You can look up some like gamer setup or something like that, right? And you look at their desk and look at their keyboard. 9 times out of 10, they will have no numpad. They will intentionally buy a keyboard with no numpad. They will spend $200 to buy a keyboard with no numpad. I don't know why. I don't know why they do it to themselves, but intentionally nerfing themselves. So, anyways, that's to say that the keyboard is it's just bad. It's a bad product, right? And we're still rolling with it to this day. So I haven't really even gotten to the gaming part.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay, just as a tool in general. Kikaro says that above a certain number of buttons, controller is better. Really? Because normally I would think that a controller is better on lower amount of buttons because there's just not that many buttons on a controller, right? You have, say, on like a PlayStation / Xbox controller / Switch controller, the standard layout. You have a D-pad, you have 2 analog sticks, and I guess you have the analog stick buttons, which are not the best to press typically. I had the left stick bound to leaderboard on Rocket League, and I think I removed it because I kept pressing it on accident. I guess, I don't know. I would just be like too intense in the game, and then I'm pushing a little harder on the stick or something. And then you have 4 either, I guess they're always letters or shapes, and on the PlayStation, those buttons, and then you have triggers and bumpers. I mean, I suppose that is a lot of buttons, but the issue is a lot of them are analog, which is not useful a lot of times, and kind of unintuitive. Like if I'm playing like Hearts of Iron, I'd rather not click with trigger, but maybe that's just because I'm very used to the mouse and keyboard thing. Maybe that's actually not that bad. I don't know. I know when I tried playing Omega Strikers, my first thought was, why don't we use a controller, because there are not that many buttons. It's just moving around and some special abilities. It's only a few buttons, and I want analog input to be able to move and aim precisely, right? Well, aiming isn't an issue because you use your mouse on mouse and keyboard, but at least for moving around, it's like, okay, you can, you're not confined to 8 directions. You can move anywhere in between. And I found I was like, this is kind of hard. Like I keep forgetting what button are what abilities. And when I told my friend, he was like, just use mouse and keyboard. It's like 8 directions is like close enough. So, you know what I'm saying? Like it's pretty precise. I was like, okay. I tried it, and suddenly I was able to remember everything. So I think part of that has to do with just me being so used to the keyboard, and like I don't know, it's a very strange memory thing where like, I don't know, Q, E, and F. I just know what those do. I'll just remember, but I can't remember what the buttons do on a controller. But I don't actually have an issue with it on Rocket League.
The reason I left is because I have a new purchase, which is a gigantic mobile keyboard.
Oh, does it have a numpad?
It actually does have a numpad.
Wow. Okay.
I actually didn't want it to have a numpad because it's supposed to be more mobile, but I couldn't find a good with regular size keys. You know what I mean? That did not have a numpad. It's either you got all the large, including the numpad, or it's like squishy keys, which I hate. So I decided for this.
I suppose a travel keyboard or a laptop are the only 2 things that make sense to me that don't have numpads. Even though it's possible, my laptop has a numpad. It's very it's kind of horizontally squished. Vertically, it's kind of full size, but horizontally, it's kind of squished. So it's there. I don't know. And the other side, the other keys are pretty big. Although I do have a fairly wide laptop, it's probably wider than average. So I think my screen aspect ratio is 16 by 10. So I think it's also slightly wider than normal, I guess, from that perspective. So I guess that makes sense why I'd be able to fit a numpad. But I guess it'd be understandable if that didn't have a numpad. The external keyboards that are not meant to be travel keyboards, I don't understand. I don't understand how you pay so much for. It also looks dumb. Okay, so you look at these gamer setups. You have a big table, one of those big mouse pads that cover the entire table. You have a mouse, and then you have in the center, you have the tiniest little keyboard. It's like, what is this desk for? Like, the thing is, if you can work space confined too, I guess that makes sense. But if you're
It's
not
for those
space
rage quit
confined,
moments, so you don't break anything.
well, the num keys give you like a little padding. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like the first keys that go before the rest of them go. You know, so a little buffer zone. I don't know. Nine Crime says, I use pause break in QBasic. Oh, what does it actually do? Interesting. Katara says, some platformers really need controller. Controller for what? Because I've used, so for platformers, is it for the analog control? Because I know there are, on the other hand, a lot of platformers where supposedly you should use the D-pad, specifically if you're using a controller, because you don't want analog control. You want like literally left, right, up, down. You want to be able to do it as fast as possible. You just there's no like slightly off the analog stick. I didn't get the perfect efficiency going forwards, or whatever. Sonic Adventure 2 is 100% playable on keyboard. It's crazy. Sega doesn't have a note about it on the Steam page. Actually, the game I played that my friend was like, just use a D-pad was Sonic. That was one of them, and there was something else as well. It was a PC game. I don't remember the name, but I can imagine it in my head. I don't know if it was PC only, but I played it on PC, and I played it on a controller, and I played it on a D-pad, which is essentially the same thing as using WASD. But Kikara says some Metroidvanias only have enough move options that you run out of intuitively accessible keyboard keys. Right. Okay. That button layout and triggers such bumper set. Okay, this is all solvable. We'll get to this. They're all solvable issues that just have not been solved for some reason. So I'm thinking. So here's like the thought here, right? Why don't we just take the normal keyboard used for normal office use and normal web browsing and everything else, and remove it, and just have another device that specifically is for gaming that is keyboard like. Well, we should get rid of the keyboard, like to be like this thing needs to be like fixed.
What?
Like this is bad.
I'm just looking at my keyboard right now. Like I don't even know there are what some of these buttons are. I'm just pressing random buttons right now. I have a button to toggle the camera, the like built-in camera on and off.
Oh, like is it a function key like on the F things, or is it?
It's above that. No, it's on the same line as the F keys. It's all the way. It's like above. It's above numlock.
Oh, your F keys are in a different place than mine, because that doesn't make sense for me.
It just keeps going. Like it's like after F12, it's PRTSC. I don't know what that means.
Oh, that's probably print screen.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Delete/insert. And then I have just this camera with a slash through it. I can toggle my camera on and off. I have this thing. I don't know. It says, they create a screen snip.
Oh, interesting.
I see.
Then I have, what does this do? It takes me to my lock screen.
But then I'll log you out. Wait.
No, I guess not.
Okay.
And then I have the power button.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Do you have a system request button by any chance? SYSRQ?
Where would that be?
For me, it's bundled with the print screen button. Like, it's the same button.
Well, I don't know. It just says print screen.
What the heck does that
Irving
mean?
has it. Do you know what that does? Oh, you don't know what that does? Yeah.
No.
So, I believe the origin. I don't know if it even does anything on Windows. It might be specifically a Mac and Linux thing. I'm not actually sure, but I think the origin of it is it does some weird thing where I don't know. It's some lower level key, is what I understand. It directly talks to the computer. I don't know how it works. Okay, it was it was less abstraction between the pressing of the key and it doing stuff. And the reason why I know that is because on Linux, if your computer freezes and it hangs for some reason, right, and you're on Windows normally you just hard shut it down and turn it on, right? It's the only option. But on Linux, you can use the system request key because it does something where it can even if your keyboard physically it will not recognize the buttons. You use system request and it's oh no, I got it, I understand now. What?
That's crazy.
So you can use system requests to do certain things. So I don't remember there's a what do you call these things? When you have an acronym and you put words to it. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I understand, but I don't remember.
But yeah, regardless,
Wait, what does that mean? Touchpad disabled.
Oh yeah, that's a button on a lot of laptops. Yeah.
Okay, I don't see. I don't use any of these things.
No, it's not particularly useful.
I can project to a second screen or extend or duplicate.
Let me tell you this: the touchpad disable thing has led to a lot of confusion. Because if you don't know it's there and you're wondering why your touchpad doesn't work suddenly, it's like, oh, it's clearly my laptop's broken, right? Like that's like the first thought.
Why would you put that on? Like, who wants? Like, if you have a touchpad, like, what harm does it have? You have a very big one.
I don't know.
I think maybe I don't know. Like, I can only think maybe like some like palm rejection thing. Like if you're like typing and like you're for some reason like you have really big hands or something, they just keep touching
the screen brightness. I can make it ridiculously bright. That's painful. It's literally painful.
I'm just thinking like, man, the page up, page down, and in home buttons are also in like the middle of nowhere on my keyboard, which are actually useful buttons if you think about it, right? You want to scroll up to the top or bottom of things, but it's like why are they there? They're in such a place where it's like I would never use them. Like it's actually too far now. Like it's past delete. Like it's like in its own territory. There's not really a reason to use it like at that point, you know.
Oh, do you not have page up and page down on F11 and F12?
It's like that on my laptop, but not on my desktop actually. So on my laptop, it's more usable, but my desktop keyboard is just like far away on like it's literally separated by like emptiness. I don't know why.
Now that you're saying that, like now that I think about it, there are editing specific interfaces, but I guess not for gaming. Like they're like keyboard-esque things that aren't really like a traditional keyboard for editing, where like it's more like hotkeys and like analog things that are useful, you know, like shuttle.
Oh, well, there's like for music, there's like MIDI keyboards where a lot of times will have buttons that like essentially will do some common like, you know, you could do them with a keyboard, like I guess in like a, you know, typing keyboard, like playing with spaces like a common whatever, right? But like on the keyboard it has a bunch of different buttons that can like play, record, and rewind and stuff like that on it for you, whatever. Which is not, at least on my keyboard, like it's not great because there are so many different like DAWs and whatever you can use that like oftentimes like maybe there'll be good support for one of them, but like for another one you might have lacking support just because I don't know they prioritize their time for one thing over another and stuff like that. And kind of, you know, there's a lot of DAWs out there, so kind of understandable that there's a lot that can it might take a lot of time to do that kind of stuff. But and then, you know, has analog stuff too, which is super useful. Which, yeah, with the keyboard, it's not going to happen. But yeah, so keyboard is all whacked up, right? And so, like, how do we fix this? First off, as I said before, you know, I don't think the keyboard for Office doesn't make sense. We should like replace it with something better, so a better version of the keyboard. But for gaming, you could just have a separate interface, right? Like you don't need to use the keyboard, right? Like I understand this is an added expense to your experience, whatever, right?
Okay, but people are spending like zillions of dollars on gaming keyboards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Like that, and also like it's like if you like want to like watch a movie, and you thought it was like unreasonable to like I don't know buy like a like some speakers or something, some nicer speakers, right? Than your laptop speakers, right? It's like yeah, you have laptop speakers already, like. Yeah, those things are not great typically, you know. So get some headphones or speakers, whatever it is, you know. Like we all are wearing headphones right now, you know. It's not something that, you know, even though we probably could have done without them or whatever, you know. But it's just a necessary expense, honestly, for what we do. So yeah, get rid of that. So how do we fix this? First off, we need to remove. So I'm curious. I suppose we can keep the idea of letters, right? Because it's actually kind of useful. Like it wouldn't make sense to have like arrow keys, for example, for WASD instead. Doesn't really make sense because some games don't use like directions like that or something like that, right? Like there's not going to be a universal sort of like button that every game has or something, you know. So that doesn't really make much sense. So I can get down with the idea of keeping letters, and I think you can get rid of like symbols and stuff like that at this point. Oh well, the one thing is it's oftentimes useful to actually type in a game, right? So like if you want to type in a chat or something like that,
that's true.
I wouldn't mind a keyboard that was made for gaming that just had an inoptimal typing experience, you know? Because I mean, and also if you're playing on PC, just put your keyboard on the side and just use it when you need to use it. It's probably not going to be. I suppose it might not be as seamless of experience, but how often do you need to like go from a straight up like gaming mode doing something else to like typing suddenly, like and go back like immediately, if you need like urgent like comms, you would just talk to somebody, right? You would just say it through a microphone or something like that. So I don't think that's typically a big issue. So first off, like the WASD keys should be moved, or the equivalent, I suppose, should be moved more towards the center of the keyboard. Not to the center exactly, because I think there's actually a good reason to have more space on the right side than the left side, specifically for games that might require two hands on the keyboard for various things, so you have space for your right hand. And also, we don't have... I suppose, yeah, so move the normal like WASD, which I suppose actually you could just do by rebinding things. It's actually not something that you need to... Actually, an interesting thing I never thought of. Why do most games use WASD for movement when that just makes it so that your pinky is half useless because you only have so many buttons your pinky can actually press?
What I've noticed, though, I've actually thought about this, but one thing that my keyboard, I don't know if I can show it easily. Let me get my other keyboard. It's probably the same. It's the offset of the rows that make WASD so nice.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if you guys can see. Like, you see how like the top row of letters is like offset from like the middle and bottom. Like, it's not an equal offset across characters. On this keyboard, it might be. I'm not sure. But on some keyboards, like the middle row is shifted like a little bit more than the bottom row is shifted, or something weird like that, because it's supposed to be like ergonomic or whatever.
Right.
But WASD always tends to be like relatively comfortable regardless of the offset, whereas like other ones sometimes feel like you're struggling to stay on like not struggling relatively,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that might be partly why.
Yeah, that might be it, actually. Interesting. Yeah, because your pinky really, like, the weird thing is, like, on a keyboard, you have so many keys, but a lot of them are actually, like, inaccessible. And I would still consider, like, for a game that has more keys you want to press, I prefer a keyboard than a controller. But, like, and oftentimes, like, it's literally, like, not feasible. Like, you're playing Arma. Like, you simply cannot use half the roster of keys if you're on a controller. It's not possible. There's not enough buttons. But, like, I was saying, wow, I lost my train of thought. What do you know what I was saying?
You were talking about just, like, I think you were saying, like, WSD, other keys aren't being used well. I don't know, something like that.
Right. Yes, I don't know what I was saying, but I'll just continue off something off of that, I suppose. Yeah, so you still have a lot of keys at your disposal, right? So you have Q, E, R, F, V, C, X, Z are all in like relative vicinity. Shift and Control, obviously, your pinky is right there. I suppose caps lock too, but no one ever uses that. I think the idea of it being a toggle button just like irks the people, so it's not very typically used. And then there's also tab and something interesting that games need to stop doing, which maybe I'll make a video about or make a topic segment about key bindings, because some of them are dumb and need to be standardized. Oftentimes in games that have equipment slots, we use like one, through like use the numbers, the top row numbers to change what your what item is equipped or whatever. And let's say you have a game where you have 2 items equipped or whatever. Why is it 1 and 2? When 1 and 2 are further away than 2 and 3 from your fingers, like you're using your middle finger, you use 2 and 3. Like, otherwise, you have to bring your ring finger up to 1, or move your, I guess the middle finger to 1 is fairly awkward. You just use 2 and 3. It's just a lot simpler. So honestly, I wouldn't mind if you just started from 2. Like even if you have like a 10 equipment slot like thing. Well, 10's kind of crazy because you're not going to be hitting the 0. So I think you're kind of screwed in that case regardless, actually. So you have 3 or 4 items, like just start at 2. I suppose once you get to 4, I guess when you get to 4, you use the first 4 because that's the closest. But anyways, just optimize it, is what I'm saying. So that you're surrounding 2 and 3. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, so that's an issue. Another issue you have is the lack of analog control, of course, right? So there's no analog control on keyboard unless you have one of those keyboards where, like, you push down, and like the more you push down, the more it sends a horizontal or vertical axis signal. That should be more standard, in my opinion. That should just kind of be more of the norm, really. It's like the technology already exists. It doesn't have to be done on every key. It can be done on like the WASD keys only or something, right? Because those are typically where that's going to be a lot more useful. Maybe if you want your arrow keys as well, you can put them there too. And on topic of layout, arrow keys should not be in the middle of nowhere. So on my keyboard, on both my keyboards, really. So what is the purpose of arrow keys, right? The purpose of arrow keys is really like, okay, I understand the arrow key can scroll, but people use it for gaming specifically. That's like the only reason you use arrow keys, pretty much. Maybe like scrolling on a canvas, maybe on certain like applications, like an art application, maybe. I don't know. But I very like, when I see arrow keys, I think someone is gaming with these keys. Like scrolling is a secondary like reason why it exists. Okay, so why would you have arrow keys and like intentionally just put empty space around it? Just like fit it in somehow. I don't know. I guess you have to maybe restructure the way things are a little bit or something. But I think it's well overdue. Just put them somewhere in the midst of actual other keys, because if you're gaming. And WASD is nice because it's Q and E and all the other keys I said before around it. But if you're, say, right-handed, I mean, you're probably using IJKL, which, by the way, depending on your setup, if your keyboard is centered and you're using IJKL with your right hand, it is not comfortable. Your arm is in a very, specifically if you're close to your keyboard, your arm is like very like it's your right arm is further to the left than it should be. Is pretty much. Whereas the WASD, I guess one good thing about that too is that it's more shoulder width than moving your fingers more center, so there's that as well. So yeah, I propose actually we get rid of arrow keys entirely and we just use numpads, because the numpad is it's actually a grid, right? Which is like kind of nice. There's no shifting, right? And it just has keys around it by default. Now, if you have like I suppose it depends on maybe the keyboard layout, but for me at least, there are no keys to the left of my number pad, so my thumb has nothing to press, which is not good, I suppose. Like there's less keys you could press compared to WASD, which is not good, but better than the arrow keys where there's literally no keys you can press. So, yeah. And I had some chats. They must be from a while ago. I was not looking. They were from a while ago, actually. 99 Crime says that's actually a little thing I got to solve with our game, Kakaros. I think he's referring to.
That was way back when you were saying that game specific controllers or something like that. Yeah.
I see. Kihara says, trying it out. I see what you're saying, but brains can possibly break. I don't know which thing we're trying out here. This is
the 1 to 2 versus 2 to 3.
Oh, it says it right after that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know, but we'll make the new gaming keyboard. Don't label it 2 and 3. Label it. It doesn't have to be a number. It could be maybe symbols, or like shapes or something for those keys or something. I don't know. Because it might be actually just bad to have them ordered, because then it might do something to your brain, right? Or it's like, well, the 1 should be the first thing or whatever, It's like shapes.
So could some of this be solved with like more buttons on a mouse too? Like, because if I think about switching inventory, if I have enough buttons, if it's just a toggle or like a flippy thing, then I'm almost certainly aren't there is it RPG mice that have like a ton of like
MMO mice? So MMORPG, sure, yeah. Yes, they have like rows of buttons on it or whatever.
Yeah,
but
that sounds pretty useful.
Okay, do you so you use those all with your thumb, right?
Yeah. And
the issue is if you want like 10 buttons, imagine how small those buttons are, and imagine how precise you have to be to actually hit it. It's great because you literally have the access of 10 buttons at your fingertip, right? Let me tell you. So on my mouse, I have the G502, which is a Logitech mouse. This is it's like the most common gaming Logitech mouse. And so it has, let's see, so it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra buttons other than the middle mouse button and left to right or whatever. The thing with one of the buttons is it's not rewindable. It's specifically like a gaming button or something, and what it does is it reduces your
DPI.
Your DPI, yes. The idea is it has a little like crosshair on it, and presumably it's for aiming, precisely. Like I have never gotten to the habit of using it. It's too hard. Like to think about that, like let me reduce my DPI. And it's like it might even be like a good amount. Like what I'm saying, like it might be some like it's too slow now or something. I don't. I just couldn't change it for whatever game you're playing. But yeah, I never gotten used to using that. So I don't know. I suppose you're playing an MMO, like that's an extreme case where you need a lot of buttons. But another thing is keyboard buttons are generally too large, I think. Which might make sense with this large for striking them for typing and not missing the key you're pressing. But in gaming where your keys are planted on WASD, not for all games, but for a lot of games, they're planted on some set of keys that are commonly used, right? So those shouldn't be an option. And it's not like you're with typing where you're like moving your fingers around like that, like around the keyboard if you're touch typing or whatever, right? Like it's a different type of action where you're sort of sliding your finger to the nearest key next to you and pressing it. I don't think that requires nearly as much precision, you know what I'm saying? As like touch typing and stuff like that. Kakaro says, Renumpad, Nathan was actually meant to play classic roguelikes the whole time. Maybe hotkey 1. I don't know, do classic roguelikes use a lot of numpad stuff? I'm not actually sure. But yeah, so there's some issues. Aside from that, there's like a. This is not really a big deal unless this is a bigger deal to me. Like back in the day when I played browser games with you, Irving, actually, and like we were playing multiplayer. I don't even remember. There's always this issue where, not always, but sometimes this issue where the keyboard would have a limit on how many keys you can press at one time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So. I think I looked up what the standard number of I didn't know how what it was because I haven't had this issue in forever because I've been just using the keyboard myself, right? But apparently they have the common ones are 2 key, 6 key, and then some of them are higher end or have more keys that you can press at once. 2 keys is horrible for normal. I don't know. I'm assuming that's not widely used because that sounds horrible, even for normal typing. Any sort of number, any sort of combination you have to do like shift control something, you just can't. That's crazy to me. And then 6 key rollover. It's fine with one person, but if you imagine 2 people just doing normal things, and suddenly it becomes not okay anymore, and then I suppose anything after that can be acceptable. So, yeah. And another thing is, if you have 2 keyboards plugged into your computer, they're always recognized as the same keyboard, which is a fundamental technological issue because keyboard's not for gaming, they're not. That's not what they're meant for, right? You have controllers that can be recognized as different controllers. The keyboard can only have one plugged in it, and it's only recognized as one. That's not really the fault of the keyboard, I suppose, at that point, because it's just not meant for that. It's like, why would you have 2 keyboards plugged in? This is for typing, or whatever, right? Or even if you have 2, why would it care if you're recognized as different, right? Like an A is an A, in matter whatever keyboard's pressing it, just print out an A, or do whatever the A shortcut does, right? It's not really a big issue. And the third thing in my notes was ergonomics, but I feel like I already covered a lot of that. And then covered analog input already. And there's also like a weird. This is not okay. So I feel like oftentimes in the gamer space, there's this thing everything needs to be quiet, right? Your computer needs to be quiet, which is understandable, right? You don't want a jet engine in your room when you're gaming, whatever, right? Why are keyboards so loud? It's just a strange thing to me.
Mechanical keyboards, right? That's desirable, like the clacky keyboards. That's specifically.
Some people like that sound. But then there's this specific switches that are absolutely blaring, it's like a what do you call those things? Like an air horn. Every time you press a key, it's what is the point of this? That's not really a real point.
Anytime you're in a room with a ton of people playing League, it is it's a chorus of clacking. I'm sure Ben remembers the DMC League players. Do you remember Ben at Hopkins?
Oh yeah, yes.
The League players at the DMC who would you could hear them from 1,000 yards away.
With League
Yeah.
though, it's probably more clicking, like with the mouse than
No,
keyboard
it's
stuff,
everything.
right? Okay.
But that's part of the aesthetic, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like
I
they
need to
enjoy
stop
that.
that aesthetic. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it personally. Why? Oh man. Yeah, and, another thing that controllers have with keyboard is there's never any haptic feedback. How? It's not like there's like a technological challenge as far as I'm aware to having some rumbling keyboard. It's just not a thing that exists. That's kind of strange. And one technological issue might be that like simply the way that keyboards interface, because they're not generic devices, right? Like they're specifically like the keyboard is like special to a computer, right? You plug in any sort of USB device, I think the protocol they interact with can be kind of whatever it wants to be, as long as there's some software on the other end that deals with that, that was able to accept the input, if you get what I'm saying, of the USB device and decipher it, if that makes sense, right? So for example, on my mouse obviously sends some normal mouse input, but it also sends some input to Logitech G Hub, which lets me customize my mouse. And I'm sure that data that it sends can be kind of arbitrary and arbitrarily structured, right? It can be kind of however it wants to be. As long as G Hub is able to decipher that, that's fine, all right? There's no issue with that. The keyboard, it seems to me, although I'm not entirely sure, that the keyboard interface is a lot more specialized, and it's not like there's like a like for a lot of this stuff, it doesn't seem like there's like a way of doing it other ways, if you know what I'm saying, right? Like it seems like a lot of this key input stuff is just like there's one protocol, and that's just what you're doing, that's just how you have to do it. So it makes you wonder if like the rumbling stuff would potentially like be an issue with that stuff, and that the protocol is very specific and has no allowance for that. I know, like with my MIDI keyboard, it's very like the technological stuff going on underneath is very janky. It seems because it's sending like some like weird keys in the like behind the scenes. When I press like individual notes, like there are certain like keys that are being like sent over. They don't print out, they don't type out. But I remember looking at I think when I was trying to bind the keys correctly for the shortcuts and stuff for Cubase, because some of that stuff wasn't set up correctly. Like it showed like what the key code was or whatever that was being pressed, and it was like some like weird like some keys and stuff like that. So it makes me wonder if there's like I don't know makes me wonder how do they get like velocity input with that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because why would they be using like hopping on the keyboard stuff, like the typing keyboard stuff, and also have like some custom stuff for velocity? Why wouldn't it just all be custom? I'm kind of curious about that. I guess maybe you have to look into that.
It's probably for universality, I assume, so that it's plug and play,
Maybe, yeah, you don't need like any special software. But how does the velocity actually transfer? Maybe the DAW itself has some DAW standard of like velocity stuff. I don't know, some like for like extra information essentially, Because I know the DAW can also communicate with the MIDI keyboard. Keybase is not in my case, but there's certain DAWs that can communicate with the keyboard itself and like set its tempo, for example. So like it has like a flashing light on it that shows the tempo. I think you can have it sync with the DAW. So whatever you put in the DAW, the light blinks correctly and stuff like that. Which would be infinitely useful because there's like an arpeggiator button on it. It doesn't like arpeggiate at the right tempo unless you set it on the keyboard separately as a DAW. But that's a whole different tangent, I suppose. Yeah. So I think that's mostly all to say. And also, you also have like a cool gamer aesthetic, right? Because when people buy gamer keyboards, right, they're the same thing, but it's aesthetically pleasing, right? But imagine how you can structure things differently if you're not confined to the same like grid of keys in the same orientation, right? You can look however you want it to, kind of, And so yeah, and also it can be way smaller. It can be way more portable because you don't like for gaming, you don't use like 99% of these keys. They're not useful in any capacity. You can't reach them easily. Minus your MMOs, I suppose, or whatever, minus your Arma, and it's 9,000 ways you can crouch, I guess. But yeah, other than that, there's nothing much. That's really all to say about keyboards. One thing is though about mouses. So my friend proposed an idea to me. I'm not going to say it because it's his idea. So I don't know if you'd be okay with me just saying it. I don't really think it'd be an issue. But in case there's some idea thieves out there, I suppose I won't say it. But for like, because apparently mice, I'm not like a big like mouse person, so I don't really know what goes on there in that space, I suppose. But it seems like there's like innovation to reduce the weight of mice, and to get like lower and lower and lower weight. And he's telling me about some 29-gram mouse that came out or something like that, super lightweight thing. And he was like, well, what if you just like were able to make like a 0-gram mouse? And then I can't spoil like that sounds like it doesn't sound like possible, I guess, but I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to say, or not spoil it. I don't want to reveal the thing, but I will be trying my hand at some physical engineering and probably failing, but that'll be interesting.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's that. And also, if you're making a custom keyboard, just stick some, like analog keys while you're at it. Analog sticks while you're at it. You might as well, like, it doesn't hurt. So you don't have to like switch it to controller every time you play a racing game or something. Like you're trying to play Rocket League or whatever. So yeah, that's Kikara says, but would you enjoy it more if it were your keyboard? I also don't.
We're talking about talking about the loud keyboards.
Oh no, probably not. I'm actually not like the biggest fan of mechanical keyboards to begin with. I know it's a really hot take.
That is a pretty hot take.
It's a
people
really
are
spicy
in love
take.
with mechanical keyboards. I actually really like mechanical keyboards too, but I don't like the sound. That's the
okay.
Yeah,
I thought I liked them. I was using it or whatever. I was like, okay, it's good. And then I know this sounds crazy. I know it sounds like I'm actually insane. This sounds like I'm about to like invalidate everything I've just said for everybody. But then I used my laptop keyboard, and I was like, wait, like this feels better. This actually feels better to me. I don't know. Look, it's not the most shallow keyboard. It's actually kind of deep. I feel like for a laptop keyboard. So maybe that's part of it. But I don't know. It feels it's nice. I don't know. But yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
Kikara says, next Monday, Reddit arguing with a mixed media.
Flips around because you've angered so many people.
Angered the mob with the r/keyboard.
Yeah. I mean, for typing, for like coding at SciTech, I actually requested a mechanical keyboard specifically because it was so much more comfortable for me. And I requested one that was relatively quiet, except the keys bottoming out still like made like a decent sound. And I was like, I don't know what the solution to the bottom, like the keys like hitting the bottom of the switch itself was rather quiet, but the keys bottoming out made sound.
Wait, what happens when I post an image in stream chat? Like, what happens on Restream?
I have no idea. I might put like the Discord link. I'm not sure.
No, but it's like I copied it, so it's not like a link, Like
you can give it a try.
I don't think it's showing out. I did it already. I don't think it's showing out. But if you hop over to Discord, by going to mixedmediapodcast.com, you'll see the stream chat a image of a keyboard that is like I just went to r/keyboard. I was just curious, and it's like an actual keyboard that it has no numpad, and the arrow keys are in Uganda for some reason. And but it's almost like a split keyboard, but it's like together. So like at least it gets your hand angle right, which is something I didn't touch on, I guess. Because also if you move your arms naturally shoulder width apart and just rest them, your hands face inwards. They don't face straight on, right? So it's kind of weird that your keyboard is straight on. And also, like, your hands have to be so close to each other in the center, or for me, kind of to the left. So, yeah. Also,
99 Crime. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'll before we go on, like, I don't want to forget the chat.
99 Crime says, non-mechanical keyboards, gang, we support. I got a mechanical keyboard and I switched back to a non-mechanical one almost immediately. Yeah. I don't think non-mechanical is horrendous. I just, like, it's like 20% better, like a mechanical keyboard to me, or maybe 30% better for typing.
I see.
Specifically.
Yeah. After the say, oh yeah, this is on the thought of peripherals, not keyboard specific, I suppose. People really sleep on the mobile gaming experience with the touchscreen because, like, the ability to just use your finger. It's like a mouse. It's like so direct, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no like in between thing and a thing. It's like just your finger, right? Like I feel like, okay, because we might have very different images of what's going on, because some people are probably thinking me like playing Candy Crush, but like, oh, look at my finger like going crazy on Candy Crush. That's what I mean. Candy Crush probably can do with a mouse too. It's probably okay. But like, I played this like CS:GO clone called Critical Ops, and like one thing that was nice was back when iPhones had 3D touch. This was the iPhone 7, where it was able to detect pressure, so you can fire by just pressing in more, if you get what I'm saying. Which is such a natural thing, you know? You have to lift your finger and press a button or whatever. You just drag. It's like such like a, I don't know, it was such a one-to-one, like, you know, like, it was almost akin to like VR, but not that extreme where it's like my hands are doing things, but like the effect, like feeling of like, I don't know, just being more connected without specifically like having to do the motions, I guess, you know? And just you just press in and like you just put more pressure on and it fired, and it's like, wait, that's kind of crazy. But then unfortunately no one used the 3D touch thing except me apparently, so they got rid of it in future iPhone releases. Yeah, that's all I have for my topic.
Cool. Well, if you disagree with Nathan, definitely let us know on the Discord.
Mm-hmm. What is the prompts for this thumbnail, by the way? Because there's something weird going on in the background.
I feel like what's happening in the background, there's supposed to be transistor tubes or something like that, but I don't think it looks quite right.
I see.
The prompt was 60s keyboard ad. Something like that.
Okay.
99 Crime says, touchscreen is good sometimes. First-person shooters especially.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, you want to take out your segment, Nathan?
Sure. Thank you for watching this segment of the Mixed Media Podcast. I feel like I may have enraged many keyboard fans, but you can start typing at me to go to mixedmediapodcast.com and check out our Discord where you can continue the conversation after the show. I will be buying a split keyboard almost certainly, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, thanks for watching. And if you're watching live, we'll be going on to our next segment, which will be Arguing with Reddit with Music.
Yep. And here we go.
Mixed Media Music.
All right. Welcome to Mixed Media Music, portion of Mixed Media Podcast.
Oh, you like...
Oh, your audio cut out. You muted.
Oh, really? That's odd. Did you get any of that?
Like, half of it.
I heard up to Mixed Media Podcast. Something.
Oh, that's so weird. I don't know why that happened. I didn't click anything. Okay. Well, let's try that again then.
Yes.
Hi, welcome to Mixed Media Podcast, the portion... Hi, welcome to Mixed Media Music, portion of Mixed Media Podcast dedicated to all things related to music, with a particular emphasis on classical music and on media music. My name is Ben Costello. I'm a flute player and media composer, and I'm the main host for Mixed Media Music, and I am assisted by my two co-hosts, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
So my name is Irving Nestor. I'm a filmmaker and media entrepreneur. I own a company called Ariella based out of Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania.
My name is Nathan Nestor. I'm a 3D modeler and video game developer.
All right. So once again, welcome to Mixed Media Music. And tonight on Mixed Media Music, we will be doing Arguing with Reddit. And if you are unfamiliar with that, unfamiliar with our show, Arguing with Reddit is a weekly segment where one of us, in this case me, will be responding to hot takes from the internet, hot takes, controversial opinions, questions, things of that nature. And two of these three things my co-hosts have found for me, probably from Reddit, but it can be from other places as well. And I have not seen these, so you'll get my live reaction to them, and one of which I selected for myself. Yeah. So let's get started.
Hold on, I was trying to fix your placement on the screen. Okay, there we go. Somewhat. I'll refine it as the show goes. Let's see. So the first one is, from Nathan, if you want to explain.
Sure. So this is from r/music, and it reads, What's everyone's opinion on separating artists from his music? I feel like we talked a little bit about this before.
Sorry, on what?
Separating an artist from his music.
Oh.
So what I mean is when listening to an artist who's controversial or has drastically different beliefs than your own, but has music that you love, do you just treat the songs about themselves and keep listening to them, or do you quit listening to them altogether?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a complicated question. Um, I mean, you can do a couple of things. So one is just to examine a work of art as a work of art, right? And that includes all the values that go into it, and that can be of value, historically even, right? You can look at a work of art, piece of music, and say, well, it espouses these values. These are not values that I share, but it's still important to recognize that people did hold these views or do hold these views, and they have been important or are important in the world in some capacity. So you can kind of treat it in an academic fashion. I guess, you might look at what the values are and say, does this work still have like artistic merit if we remove some of the messages in it, right? And it might depend, at least for me, you have to think maybe a little bit about like how explicit the message is. Like if it's just that, well, the person I find somewhat objectionable, but there's nothing explicitly objectionable about the work of art, I think that's maybe slightly different than if the work of art itself, espouses some views or something like that I find objectionable. So I might look at it that way. And I think it's also possible to appreciate a work of art no matter what, whether it's overt or not, and still say, well, look, there are a lot of things I can gain from it, but either in an academic sense or even in like a musical sense, right? Like, what am I getting from it, like when I hear it? But I can't actually like fully, enjoy the work as it is. Now, I find it less difficult when the work doesn't have an explicit message or something like that I can point to as objectionable, but people are objecting to the person, because I don't know that art is it's not separate from like the creator, certainly, but it has a capacity to, if it's not directly educating me trying to instruct me in some way or with some kind of message, there's any chance that, like, if I didn't know that about the author, the work could say something totally different to me. And also, in some ways, we could probably find something objectionable about just about every person.
Yes.
So, that's a little bit easier, I think, than if the work itself espouses some kind of negative views. Now, again, there are probably, sorry, not probably, there are like gradations of this too. Like, you could have the end of Wagner's opera Die Meistersinger, which really fantastic, beautiful opera, work that really shaped a lot of my views on music towards the end of my high school years. But the end of it, the very end, throughout kind of our antagonist is like the stereotypical Jew, okay? And it really becomes pretty explicit in the very end of the opera. We have everyone coming out and singing like, oh, even if the Holy Roman Empire turns to dust, sacred Germanic art will remain, in the face of these, this kind of these evil Jews, right? German art is what will prevail and will never fail whenever it's German superiority, cultural superiority, that kind of stuff. Made a big impression on Hitler's favorite piece of music, for understandable reasons. Very important part of Nazi musical propaganda. This opera was. Okay, so like that's an example of I'd say of a message that I can look at and say objectively I do not agree with that, right? like it's trying to it's almost propagandistic in a sort of sense, right? That it's telling me, Jews are kind of our enemies, they're our antagonists, but ultimately the sacred Germanic art, the pure art of the non-Jews in Germany will prevail, right? It'll be an empire that will obliterate everything in its path. Okay, I find that view objectionable, right? So, and like I said, it's a message that is trying to be conveyed to me, right? I meant to agree with it, right? I was meant to spend 4 hours listening to this opera and come to the conclusion, yes, this beautiful sacred German art triumphed over the kind of weaselly the Jewish character. So that's like an explicit message that I'm being, but the Wagner is trying to give to me. Now, I was probably exaggerate a little bit by Hitler, and carry to its extreme next step, right? In his use of it as propaganda, but it's like a propagandistic message, right? I'm meant to get that. I'm meant to be instructed by the work of art. Now, like, you could look at something else, another kind of work of art. Think of like tons of other operas, right? That, well, ultimately their plots are probably somewhat morally objectionable, right? In like a, based on my personal, sense of morality, right? Like, I'm not personally a supporter of like adultery, right? Things like that. There's tons of that in opera or pieces of music, right? But that's not necessarily like an overt propagandistic message. It's just kind of a part of the plot, right? So in that case, I can accept that things are part of the plot, right? Part of the story, and they may still have something to say about the human condition, even if I don't necessarily agree with the choices of every character, right? So that's a little bit different. I don't really have a problem with that. Now, in the case of like the Wagner opera, I still think there's a lot of really fantastic musical lessons to be learned from that opera. But you do have to kind of always keep, like I do, I'll kind of have that like asterisk kind of in my head, like, well, it's qualified by the fact that it's great music, but it's all ultimately kind of got this message that I was supposed to get from it. So, kind of, I wouldn't not listen to it. I would just kind of, allow it to color everything that I receive from it, but still receive things from it.
Makes complete sense to me. I have that experience literally all the time. So,
yeah, it's not unique to music, certainly.
Yeah. Cool. This next one is, let's see, I can grab a link real quick. This next one is from you, Ben, if you want to explain.
Yeah, let's see. I have to pull this up. Okay, so here's one where the actual title isn't that helpful. So I'm going to read it. And it's kind of an interesting question. So this person, who, if you look through the comments, notes that they've been playing cello for 10 years and only listened to classical music and have never heard any pop music ever. Whether I believe that fully or not, I don't know. But that's what the person claims. The post is classical music supposed to have an emotion? And they write, people are always talking about the mood or character of a piece, and I just do not get it. Like, it doesn't have any of those things? How can people connect music to characters and emotions? It's starting to become an issue because people will ask me during a master class and lessons to talk about the character of a piece, and I just have nothing to say. If I don't prepare ahead of time by asking someone else for a detailed character breakdown that I can copy, I'll embarrass myself. But it's also not like music doesn't have any feeling, just not feelings that are in any way related to ways that I could describe feeling. Does everyone get vibes like that off music, or is it only some people? ? Alright, that's an interesting question. Well, one, yes, if you're, at a level of that sounds like you're at as a musician, yes, you're going to have a hard time relating to other musicians when you can't kind of come up with simple adjectives to describe music. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to necessarily believe these things. I sometimes find it really helpful to think that way as a performer, where I'll, say, I want to kind of create this character, and then shift to this other character. Kind of create a story and drama that isn't necessarily there, but it's something that like is informing what I'm doing. So I'm kind of telling a story through my playing, and it's not going to be like exactly like, I don't know. It doesn't have a plot like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, right? But it's some kind of story-esque sort of thing. Okay, I think I do find that helpful as a performer sometimes. And like I said, you're gonna have trouble with other musicians, right? When they say, "Well, how do you feel like what emotion are you going for?" And and you can't come up with something, even if it's not 100% accurate, you're gonna struggle because that's just how we kind of are going to relate to the process of creating music, right? We don't want to just create this bland like stream of notes. We want it to shape it in some way. And emotions and simple descriptions like that are really great ways of kind of telling others what shape we would like to have so they can help us get that shape. So I will say that, if you can't kind of come up with something like that, just try. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate, right? Like, make up something. Make up whatever adjective you find even somewhat close. And I don't think anybody's going to tell you that you're wrong, right? They're just going to then help you try and shape it in a way that is meaningful and relevant to what you just said. Now, to like the broader question, which I think what you're asking really is, what you're saying is that to you, music has feelings. You or not the music has feelings necessarily, but it arouses feelings in you, but you generally don't know how to use. Right? You say they're not related to ways that I could describe, right? And no, that makes sense to me. It's very hard to put any kind of emotion into words, right? And we tend to, especially like at lower levels of music, be really simplistic. Like, we generally are going to tell people when we're first learning some basic music theory, major chord equals happy, right? Minor chord equals sad. As though like happy and sad are just like really easily definable feelings, right? And like, oh, that sounds happy and it'll always sound happy. I mean, one, it's totally context dependent, right? The chord coming out of wherever it comes from is important, right? Like, what is happiness? Like, it is such a like impossible to pin down thing, really concretely, and just to, these intervals just equal happiness, right, or sadness, like very simplistic, right? And the harder you try to like pin these things down, sometimes it's the more elusive it is. I have found, throughout my life listening to music, but I think more and more, what I actually like when I go to think about what I'm feeling in a piece of music, to the extent that I truly am feeling something, it's often actually kind of in visual language, which is kind of odd. But I often I don't say, well, this feels like X, as some feeling. I often what I often get is something like, this kind of reminds me of like sitting in this very specific place in like summer afternoon, in the sunlight like hitting the wall or in a very specific angle, right? And like, I know what that feels like. I'm not putting that into words, but I have like a visual, like that is what it reminds me of. And that way, like, it means something very particular to me. And like these things often come to my mind really immediately, but it's not in like happy or somewhat somber. You know, it's like I have an image, and the image tells me it gives me all the information I need to know. I know I can think of some particular things like like the particular part, kind of a climax of the first movement of Sibelius' Sixth Symphony. It just reminds me of sitting on my porch on like a light summer afternoon and with some wind and looking at like the trees in my backyard kind of moving in the wind. I don't know why. I don't know why it does, but that's what that's the image that I get, and I know how that feels. I can't put it into words for you. Sometimes it's just even like a color. You could say like it just kind of sounds like this like shade of blue. Now it doesn't have to be like truly synesthetic, right? To do that. I don't have synesthesia, but I can sometimes, like a color in some ways is more communicative to me than like, somewhat quiet and reserved. Sometimes to me, just like a color just communicates more of a feeling than those words to me. So, like I said, when I am kind of, coming up like as a performer, when I'm trying to shape what I do, I will often put it in terms of those sorts of things. Like I said, I'm trying to come up with some kind of like narrative-ish thing that's not a specific narrative. So I might say, well, I could color this line in a couple of different ways, but I'm literally going to have like this image of the summer trees from my porch moving in the wind, right? And then I'm going to somehow change the color as the line progresses into something. The sky kind of, you get like a summer storm cloud coming in, whatever that means. And again, I can kind of feel these things internally without being able to put these things into words. And that's just kind of like a narrative that I have created, and I try and kind of do that somehow when I play. Now, this is easier for like more lyrical things than just, you have a sea of black notes, right, on a page. A little bit harder, right? But that is kind of how I would think of it. Now, I'm not going to say that necessarily. Like, I have a teacher who says, well, what kind of, emotion are you going for? I'm not going to say, storm cloud slowly approaching the, waving trees from my porch in Maryland. I'm not going to say that because that doesn't mean anything to anybody else. So I will, like I said, I'll come up with some adjective to describe it, but it's not how I think of it myself. I agree that oftentimes trying to use language to describe feelings that music arouses in me, or which I wish to communicate through music as a performer, it's very hard to use specific words for that.
I wish I could see colors. When I listen to music, that's what I keep thinking as you're talking. I was like,
I mean, some people like Scriabin, like people like that. I know Scriabin for a fact. Like he was extremely synesthetic. So like every sound had its own color. And he literally like kind of composed in colors.
I was trying to look for a painting that Kanye West made because Kanye West has synesthesia. That's what it's called, right? Synesthesia? Yeah. I was watching, so at my work, I got this random YouTube recommendation for like Kanye West iceberg or something like that, right? As in like, I don't know if you guys are aware of those like iceberg type videos where it's like, let's go through some, top of the iceberg is like, commonly known Kanye West stuff, and on the bottom is like, some like very like rare knowledge essentially, right? And I was like, all right, why not? Sure. Something I can listen to while I'm doing work or whatever. And so I'm watching it. And that video is like an hour. It's a part 2. Part 2 was like 2 hours. Or the other way around, I forget which way. And then there's a part 3, and it was 7 hours.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what? And there's a part 4 apparently coming out. So I'm like 3 hours in, I'm 3 or 4 hours into the part 3 right now. And I can't find, it's not practical for me to go through the video and find it. There's a point where Kanye like shows a picture because Kanye, interestingly enough, was originally a visual artist. He was not into music at first, and he thought that his career was actually fashion, which makes sense like now because he's in fashion. So he eventually made it, I suppose. But he's originally a visual artist, and he showed a painting he made. He was like, "This is a beat," and he like made the noise of the beat. He's like, "This is what this is." I was like, "What?" Interesting. I wish I could find that, but yeah, that's probably deep in the iceberg. You know, it's some rare image. So
yeah. Interesting. Cool.
Yeah, I think Scriabin, like, literally, you know, at the end of his life, he was working on this piece called, I think, like Mysterium or something like that. It's supposed to be like, he was an adherent to some kind of like cultish religion that was kind of popular, I guess, at the time. And he, you know, designed this like multimedia, multi-day long event at the summit of Mount Everest, and you're supposed to go, and it's like music and all these like color lights and the, you know, choreographed to match the music the way he felt that they matched. And at the end of several days of this kind of stuff, it was going to create, it was going to like summon the apocalypse.
Interesting.
Yes. Yes. He did not complete this work before he died, though.
Okay. Maybe we should be grateful. Kai says, this Kanye lore is putting a new spin on Life of Pablo. Interesting.
I've actually never listened to the Life of Pablo, so I don't know.
I haven't listened to it either. I will say, though... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Kanye is probably the best hip-hop producer of all time. Like, I can... Like, by, like, it's not even close. Like, and I don't even know how to, like... I don't know how to describe to you how far ahead at every single turn of hip-hop production Kanye is. At any point in his career, he creates, like, whole genres. Like, people don't realize that 808s in hip-hop is, like, basically Kanye. Like, that wasn't a thing before Kanye. And
I learned a lot of that history from the Iceberg video, and they had some clips of people saying like some famous rappers being like, yeah, like this is essentially like just my sound. Like he made it first, so he was the first one.
Yeah, no, like, and the dude continues to put out stuff that's like very fresh feeling, regardless of what you think of Kanye. Like the dude, like when he sits down in the studio, something magical happens. I don't know what it is. It feels completely intangible, but he just like his production is just amazing. That's all.
I wish his rapping was on par though, because I feel like his rapping really lacks. It's not that great. It's not good. It's really not that great. I feel like he peaked at the college dropout in terms of rapping, and then I don't know what happened to that. Like it just was not the same.
Actually, yeah, College Dropout is probably one of my favorite albums. Period. That you should get.
Yeah,
that.
for those who don't know, that's his first album. Oh yeah, I'm going to get the College Dropout. I'll probably get Graduation. The only reason why almost certainly I'll get Late Registration because everyone says it's great. I just haven't listened to it fully yet, so I don't know. But it's like that era. Like I'd be surprised if I didn't like it. That's like a must-have. Everything after that, it's like now like after Graduation, his third album. One, I don't like the beats as much, which I suppose. Production is still crazy, to be clear, right? It's just, not my type of thing, I suppose, oftentimes. And also, like the rapping is just went out the door. Like, it's not that interesting anymore. like the content, to me, is not that interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I don't know. But I suppose I've listened to the entirety of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And I'll say the production is quite great, but like I don't know, like it's just like everything else about it is not, in my opinion. So yeah.
I will blame.
That was a hot take. That's a really hot take.
I will blame Kanye for the loudness war, though. He kind of started that as well. The loudness war in music. I
didn't know that.
Where like on stream platforms, everyone's trying to be like at max perceived loudness. Basically, it destroys like the dynamic range in music. That's kind of a Kanye caused problem. But
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. I think part of it too is that he's a very progressive producer in terms of progressive in the musical sense. In terms of progressive like prog rock, kind of progressive in that he lets his beats develop in the music. He's not afraid to have sections in the music structure. It feels much more well-rounded usually because of that. A lot of hip hop is just like, it's just tedious beat repeats,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say one thing though, is like, I don't know. So like after his first few albums, like look at the credits on them. It's like 9,000 people on the credits. Like it's like 1 million people producing like in tandem. I feel like even though they're really good, they should be better. I'm very surprised. I know this is definitely a hot take because people are like, oh, especially people like specifically about people love every Kanye album, but specifically about My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. People are like, oh, dude, like the amount of times I've heard it referred to as a magnum opus of he took so many because the lore behind it is like this was after the Taylor Swift incident. He secluded himself in the world. So he's like, dang, I have become villainous, basically, and then went to Hawaii. And then just took a bunch of people with him in secret, big names, of course, and he tons of people who he one rule he had was they're not allowed to use Twitter. I think because I guess he didn't want things to leak and stuff like that, or maybe
they always leak. Kanye stuff leaks crazy. There's a whole spreadsheet of Kanye leaked things. I don't understand how it happens, but there's too many people in the chain for Kanye. But that's the thing. It's like, okay, you have so many people here. I understand the diminishing returns and stuff like that, right? It's not like you add Jay-Z and you're gonna get plus Jay-Z quality, right? You know what I'm saying? You're just gonna get plus something, But I don't know. It's it's after all that they came up with you ever heard Jay-Z's verse on what's the song called? Monster. Is it called Monster? It's called Monster. And then Nicki Minaj after. Okay, people say, "Oh, Nicki Minaj's verse was one of the greatest, verses on this album." It's not even close. It's not that great. That's a hot take as well. But I don't understand how some people came together and made it, and it wasn't not everything was perfect. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Weird tangent on Kanye, but there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, this third one is a meme, and on occasion we like to drop in these memes. Although this one actually is kind of substantive, so here it is. Me. This is from me, by the way. Me. Yo, pass me the aux cord. Friend. You better not play trash. Me. Lord of the Rings. I guess specifically concerning hobbits. So this is really just my way of asking, how much do you like the Lord of the Rings score?
Well, concerning hobbits specifically, I don't remember that being terribly remarkable. Honestly, I feel like it's from what I recall, it's kind of cute, I guess. But it also sounds a little bit too much like My Heart Will Go On from Titanic. Sorry. Lord of the Rings, I don't really know it that well. I know that's kind of a heretical position.
I know literally nothing about Lord of the Rings personally, which I know there's a lot of Lord of the Rings fans.
Oh, yeah. I don't... Okay, my knowledge of Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings, the phenomenon itself, I think I had to read The Hobbit before my freshman year of high school, so, summer before my freshman year of high school. That's it. And I remember nothing about it except that there's, a battle and a dragon at the end. It's all I remember about it. I know, again, also probably a heretical position amongst some people. Yeah, nope, never read anything else from the Lord of the Rings, and yes.
I was going to say, regarding Lord of the Rings, there are only 2 books I have read, I believe, where I have literally do not know what went on in them, and one of them was Lord of the Rings. One of them was The Hobbit. The other one was Guardians of the Gahul. So I remember that very specifically because, like, you know, I used to read a lot, and like I would just know what I read, but it wasn't like I think I was just like, you know, when you read something but you're not like thinking about it, you're just like looking at words on the page. I think I was just doing that. I don't know why for the entire book, but yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you like the soundtrack in general?
So, as a result of like not really knowing Lord of the Rings, I've never seen the films, and I only know a little bit of the music from them. And I recognize that like they're a massive, you know, achievement, and are in some ways kind of taking Wagner's leitmotif idea and, you know, building off of that. I'm sure you could. There's an episode we did probably like 2 years ago on that somewhere. Yeah. Like it, like I think it was the same episode I talked about Little Mermaid too.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to know what that technique is, but really the stuff I've heard from it hasn't done much for me. Now maybe if I sat down and listened to all of it and like watched movies, it would mean more to me. But so again, I recognize it's like an important film score achievement, but I don't really know too much of it or care too much for it that much. So yeah, I'm not the person to ask about it, really. I probably should sit down and like know the scores a lot better, but I think I'd want to watch the films. And the question is, do I really want to watch all of those films?
Yeah, it's very long. Yeah, 99 Crime says, I'm almost done reading Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I honestly, like, I suspect if I did read or watch, I'd prefer reading it, but I just don't, like, time is, like, probably going to prohibit me from doing that. So it's much more likely that I watch the movies first, unfortunately. But I suspect I would probably like it from what I've heard about it, but I don't really know. I literally know, like, only, like the most, like, broad, like, things about it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I always feel this, like, whenever people I know, like, post anything about Lord of the Rings, and a lot of them post things about Lord of the Rings, like Lord of the Rings memes all the time, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, sorry, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure I probably would enjoy it, but it also just feels like too much of a commitment to, like, try and get into. Like, I could never match, like, the depth of knowledge that so many people seem to have about it.
Yeah. Cool. And 909 Crime, you should let us know how, I don't know if you've seen the films, but let us know how they compare, the book and the films. I know that's a contention, like, highly contested subject in the Lord of the Rings community.
Also play Gollum and let us know how it compares.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that was the last one.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, arguing with Reddit on Mixed Media Music. And again, yeah, thanks for watching and listening. Make sure you join us on our Mixed Media Mondays if you can join us live, Mondays for the time being. Also, you can check out our Discord server where we talk about art all week long. You can also find the link to that, as well as to our locals page where you can support us, and to all the links to all the places where we stream at mixedmediapodcast.com. I don't think the link is visible right now. Yeah, and special shout out once again to our supporters and locals: Post, 99 Crime, Rob Sharma, K. Kairos, and Alex. What's his last name?
Egbert.
Egbert. Yes.
Sweet. Yeah, before we continue, 99 Crime says, I'm listening to the audiobook. There's actually a lot of singing in it, lol. Like, they perform the singing in the audiobook? That's crazy. I never heard of that.
I've just listened to some Star Wars audiobooks, like recent Star Wars audiobooks, and they do have like a lot of sound effects. It's actually kind of annoying. Like, sometimes, I'll play like John Williams, snippets of John Williams scores, and like that's useful. But a lot of times there's just like background noise that well, sometimes the background noise is like appropriate, like okay, that's good, it makes sense. But a lot of times it's just like kind of like this annoying hum, just to like sound like oh, we're on a spaceship and it has some kind of mechanical sound or something like that. Like it's kind of annoying, I'm like, I'm sure it wouldn't be that annoying if I was like walking around a spaceship or something, but I'm trying to like listen to an audiobook. I don't need this like annoying ringing in the back of my headphones.
Yeah.
I was watching a podcast and I was talking about how like for a lot of blind people will watch movies, but they just have the sound only, and how they'll have these things. I don't know what they're called, but they'll have essentially like narrators that have like for blind people who like they'll narrate what's going on screen. It's not obvious based on sound effects or whatever. And they're saying it was like a big like leap in quality. Like some of them are with like someone like some monotone voice, just like explain what's happening, explain every single detail, even if it's obvious or missing things or whatever, right? And compared to like certain times, like sound effects, like the movie's not made for that. It's not like the primary experience, right? It's like certain sound effects will drown out just the voice, and that's what I was thinking of.
Cool.
99 Crime says they do perform the singing. It's like a cultural artifact of the world that everybody sings.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, cool. Now on to the next segment. Let's see here. I am mixing up my buttons. Okay, there we go. And here we go.
Mixed Media Movies.
And welcome back to Mixed Media. If you've been watching this whole time, thank you for sticking around and enjoying this wonderful Monday night with us. Today we've got a topic to go over, which for me is going to be very casual today, and I'll explain in a moment. But before we do that, we should reintroduce ourselves for those who are just tuning in or those listening in post. So my name is Irving Nestor. I'm a filmmaker and media entrepreneur. I own a company called Ariella, based out of Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania.
Hi, I'm Ben Costello. I'm a flute player and media composer.
And I'm Nathan Nestor. I'm a 3D modeler and video game developer.
Sweet. Yeah, so today, and addressing the really silly episode art I created for this episode, it was a complete failure, but it was so funny I had to put it. Which is last week we talked about the Mount Rushmore when I was reacting to a Reddit hot take, the Mount Rushmore of filmmakers. So I just told Midjourney to make me Mount Rushmore with Hitchcock. I believe I said Terrence Malick, Scorsese, some others. I don't even remember, actually. Just looking at them, I can't even. But it created this horrendous rendition of Mount Rushmore, and it looks like Hitchcock has merged with Scorsese in one of them. Like, I don't know what the heck is going on here, but that's the results Midjourney gave me. But in any case, what I'm doing to this week is a very casual look over my Letterboxd. I feel like after I made the topic and like put everything, I was like, have I done this before? And I don't remember. Maybe I have.
You have, because I remember the conversation where when this happened. It's what got me to go on Letterboxd. Although I haven't logged into mine in a while, but I did create one.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll do that again. I have a suspicious feeling that was so long ago that our quality was pretty bad, and also I never put up my rankings on the screen for others to scrutinize. So I think it'll be a little bit more fun. We've got more people in the audience too, and I'm not like basically I wanted to do something where I didn't have to prepare too much because my week has been absolutely crazy, and every time I thought about reviewing a film, I was just like, I really don't want to. So this is what I came up with instead. I haven't actually looked through my rankings like from like a high level in like probably since that episode that we did, which might have been up to like 2 years ago. So I don't remember even like what my top 10 films even are. I don't remember. So I'm gonna pull up my Letterboxd and put it up on the screen. And what I want from you guys in the audience is I want all your hot takes about my hot takes, which there's certainly some in here, or about anything about the films that I've watched, because oftentimes I haven't seen the most basic classic films of the film canon. Happens way too often to me. I'm so late to the film canon game that I have no hope of ever catching up to what people expect me to have watched. Unfortunately, I've watched more films than that are on my Letterboxd, but like it's because I made a Letterboxd at a certain point, and I had seen so many films before then, and I probably didn't remember to put all of them on there. So yeah, but anyway, that's the order for the day. Hopefully it'll be entertaining enough. So let me pull up my Letterboxd. In the meantime, I'll explain why I really like doing Letterboxd ratings, and maybe my rating system a little bit, so that we don't get confused as to what's going on. So if you didn't know, Letterboxd.com, or the Letterboxd app, is a website where you basically can log and record and put reviews for films. It's like a film rating website, except it's more like a social media. So unlike IMDb, when you rate it, like that's kind of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just hit this number of stars that you would like to put on the thing. Letterboxd is a little bit more communal. Now that community on Letterboxd is highly biased. You'll notice immediately when you go on the platform that's a very specific type of person, and I really don't fit that type of person at all. So you'll see a lot of times me diverging quite a bit from a lot of average ratings on Letterboxd. I find it fun because I like to exercise my brain and kind of step a little bit, like, not in the moment of a film, but after the film. I like to prompt myself to step outside of the sort of like hyper subjective world of watching a film, and kind of step out of it and take a look at its constituent parts, how it makes a greater whole, and sort of, I don't know, exercise my brain in how I'm thinking more objectively about a film. So let me see if I can do this easily. And then how my score actually works, my scoring system. I regret how it works. I would change it, but that would require me going back to every single film that I've rated and changing it. But as of now, 2.5 is average. So smack in the middle of the point distribution, which is 0. Sorry, 0.5 through 5. It really bothers me there's no 0, because there are a few films that deserve a 0. Like Twilight. But where would it go? Hold on. There we go. Let's see, films. There we go. There are a few films that deserve a 0, and unfortunately, they have gotten a 0.5 point instead of a 0. What was I going to say? But what I wish it was is I wish it was a 1.5 probably is average, because I like, what is the, like, who cares if a film is not good? You know what I mean? Like, how many gradations of not good do you really care about? Like, you know, so like I feel like I'm wasting bandwidth in the upper region where the discrimination is much more useful and enjoyable between films. But like at the lower end, it's like, okay, like less than average versus horrible. It's like both were a waste of time. You know what I mean? Like that's the net effect of both of them. So that's at least my philosophy. The other way that I do these is I tend to do them with a weird blend of like how I personally enjoyed them and like how I feel like they fit in like a sort of like objective schema of film. So I tend to think about the film more so in what it was trying to achieve as one of the major weighing mechanisms, I suppose. Like, was the film trying to achieve like I don't know, like being the best film of all time and came 50% of the way there? That's one factor, right? Versus a film that's just trying to be fun or stupid or whatever. I'm not going to judge them by the same rule, right? Like, to me, that doesn't make much sense. The filmmaker was trying for a very specific thing, and really, did they achieve that is one of the bigger questions. Of course, what they're trying to achieve sometimes is awful or impossible. So sometimes that does not work in their favor. So there you go. And then the other sort of parts are like, basically how cohesive is the overall experience is like another big factor. So how well is music, lighting, acting, writing is a huge thing. How well are they coming together to create a greater whole, not necessarily on an individual level, or else like some things wouldn't make much sense, like, the music of this film is like, 10, 11 out of 10, but the film is so awful and doesn't deserve the music that it has, but when I average them and then I get like some average film, that doesn't really make much sense, right? Like we need to take the experience as a holistic of all those things together. So that's my criteria. Uniqueness is actually not a very big factor. So like uniqueness is not something that are going to separate films too much on my thing. But of course, being non-unique might make you boring, which is bad. So there you go. So here we go. And by the way, if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, you can go to @IGARocks. Now, I need help from the chat and from my co-hosts here. Do you want me to go from, like, how do you want me to order it? Like, Letterboxd allows me to go in, like, a zillion different orderings. I could go from, like, oldest to newest in terms of release date, popularity, worst to best on my rating scale, best to worst to best on Letterboxd's rating scale. I could do like pretty much anything. So
I think I'm more interested in your rating. I don't care whether you go best to worst or worst to best. But...
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Sweet. Kai says uniqueness not being a big thing, based. Yeah, I mean, like when it comes down to it, when you study writing in particular, like there are so many forms that are used all the time, and people don't even identify them as being the same form. Like the common person, right, who's not thinking about forms, right? But they're the same structure, they're the same form, but people are like, this one was so unique, and like, here's a big one. Everything Everywhere All at Once is a fantastic film. I think I rated it something very high on my list. I don't remember, so we'll find out in a moment. But its story structure is actually just a hero's journey. It's like a plain, like a beat for beat, like it's like a strict hero's journey. And it's not bad, it's not worse for it. It's a fantastic film, right? But it feels fresh for other reasons. So, uniqueness isn't really a good measure. But if I were to redo this, I feel like it might have been a little bit more fun or personally revealing if I did it on like a how much did I personally enjoy it? I don't know. Or if I I guess I don't know how to describe this. But yeah, it might have been more fun, I suppose, to do it like from like a, just so I have a record of like how much did I like strictly personally, enjoy the thing, how much did I connect with it and stuff like this. Anyway, so that's the rating philosophy. So if you're like, why is this a 4 and why is this a 4.5 when like you think that you personally enjoyed the 4.5 like 10 billion times more than the 4 film, that's why. Like all that criteria like plays a factor. Okay, anyway. Let's see if I can pull this up in a way that is serviceable. Sort by best to worst or worst to best?
The worst to best?
Okay, I'll do lowest first. There's some hot takes immediately. I forgot about some of this.
I'm assuming, well, we already know where Twilight ranks.
Yeah. Can I put this up in a way that's going to look decent? Okay, not really. Let's see. Okay, that's not great. That's not great either. Let's see if I can figure this out. How about that? That's full screen. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this screen and fix it real quick.
All right. Well, aren't you kind of spoiling? I don't know if we want to do like a reveal or something,
I mean, this is going to be hyper casual.
Okay.
Let's see here.
I think your Letterboxd, man, it's kind of funny how it was only 4 movies that got the half star. That's crazy.
I mean, Here's a personal bias I'll let you know of too. I like just simply enjoy watching movies, and like that probably pads every movie with an automatic one. You know what I mean? Like
the Browns. Wow. That is crazy.
From my view, I cannot see this very clearly, so I'm not.
Yeah, I'm on the website itself. I can't really see that clearly. It's a bit small because it's in the Skype window.
I wonder if I can arrange this better, because like I feel like the Letterbox'd arrangement isn't.
Maybe you made it like the Reddit hot take thing, but then you'd be I guess it's hot takes, so you'd be on fire. It makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, let's do that. That is a good point. Hold on, Ben. You're not going to be in this frame. I'll fix it in a moment. Our editing is all over the place today, people.
Man, I don't know if you're going to touch over Meet the Browns, but I am very curious because I don't remember much about it. But it sounds like such like a I don't know, like a not like notable movie. I was surprised it's like actually bad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hold on. Let's see here if I can get this right. This is my punishment for using like a proper live editor instead of like StreamYards. Although when we started the podcast, StreamYards wasn't the best option actually. Oh my gosh, why is this all not working out for me? Okay, we're gonna use this, and then let's see here. We just need to go out a little bit more that way, and out a little bit more this way. There we go. And we're going to cover the live whiteboard a little bit. Sorry, live whiteboard. And I'll pull up the chat too. Okay. Let's make sure the chat is on top. Okay, that's horrendous. Okay. Anyway, let's see if... So we've got... so, by the way, So Bad It's Good movies don't get a bonus for being so bad it's good, right? Like
it's
because...
really unfortunate.
Yes, there's no there's no mercy for those films. Unfortunately, I have to judge them by their merits, right? That's kind of like part of the rule system there. And oftentimes they were not going for the vibes that they caused in the viewer. Okay, here we go. So let's see here. Can you clear the chat, Ben, so that or the white level?
Yeah.
Board? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, worst film. Okay, no. Let me make a distinction. There's a worse film than Troll 2 on this list, and it's Twilight. And I just didn't rate it and logged it, so that could be a 0. It doesn't show it because it's not technically rated. But I just couldn't even justify putting it on the same level of Troll 2. You know why? Because Troll 2 never pretended to be the blockbuster that everyone should see. It never pretended to be that. Twilight demanded your attention for 4 films. They even broke the last 2 films into 2 parts. It thought it was that important. And for that, it must be punished. So, for Twilight, that's actually a 0. Okay, Troll 2, classic So Bad It's Good movie. If I were to rate it on a So Bad It's Good scale, I'd probably give it a 3, or maybe like a 3.5. It is pretty funny, but sometimes there's just like a lot of boring bits, which in a So Bad It's Good movie, you know, you don't want it to be boring. You want it to be like wall-to-wall terrible. You know what I mean? As much bad as you could possibly fit into a film. And I quite enjoy watching So Bad It's Good films. Like, it's a very enjoyable experience. Followed by Birdemic, which is also a So Bad It's Good film.
No.
To a lot that
is
for me.
Absolutely a 0.
Right.
It's like the worst film ever made.
Yeah, I actually didn't enjoy it at all. Like, I didn't even think it was so bad it's good. I thought it was pure torture.
It literally is painful to watch.
Me and Ben watched it in our dorm, and I think did we actually get through the whole thing? Did we manage to punish ourselves that much?
We got because it ends with like this uplifting environmental message, and all the birds fly away.
Forgot about that. This film is so tedious. It's crazy. Oh, I missed some chats. 99 Crime. Maybe you can sort it like by list. Oh, I see. Make it bigger. We figured it out. 99 Crime also says Cars 2 is awesome. I don't know why it's so low. We'll get there. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not judging anybody, by the way, for their particular things. I judge people when it's fanatical. You know what I mean? It's like, like you're just like, it just is better because I say so, and there's no means of communicating why. Even if you're trying to communicate, I can't put my fingers on it. At least say that. Let's see here. We've got Meet the Browns. I remember now the context of watching this film. I watched this film during my honeymoon, funnily enough.
Oh, man. I saw the half point
movie. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. We had a lot of fun with it. It was so bad. And if this is a Tyler Perry film, Tyler Perry films... when he was actually, I'll say something that's actually a hot take. My parents actually have a disc of one of Tyler Perry's original stage plays, and here's the hot take: he is a actually decent stage writer. Decent. I'm not saying it's like crazy, change your life, but they're entertaining. His stage plays are really entertaining. His stories make a lot more sense on the stage, I think, than they make as a movie, where they come across as like I don't know, Hallmark level, just awful, cheesy garbage. And that film is terribly cheesy. That's the best word to put on it. It's just so ridiculously cheesy. Don't Look Up is probably the hot, like out of all the takes that will get people mad at me, Don't Look Up will probably be the one. And I talked about it. Oh crap, my battery died. I'll fix that in a moment. But out of all the ones that are low on here, I think the filmmaker community would hate me the most for the Don't Look Up being half. I literally don't get it. Don't I just get it, don't get it? I feel like everyone who thinks this film is not a half star or somewhere down there, they typically don't. It's just the political message of the film that they care about. You go on Letterbox'd, you read the reviews, and no one talks about the merits of the filmmaking itself. They just enjoy the political message of the film. It's crazy.
One of the reviews says it's giving live action Chicken Little.
It is one of the most incoherent movies I've ever seen. It is so, it's almost it feels like I'm going crazy watching it. The weird meandering, the edit is so crazy. Anyway, I've talked about it before on the show. It is, not even worth talking about to me in terms of, films. It's just that bad. Ben, were you going to say something? Sorry.
I was going to say, I think it's just unfortunate you have to lump it together with the next film you're going to mention, which is vastly better.
Last Vampire on Earth is probably my favorite So Bad It's Good film. I think actually it is my favorite So Bad It's Good film. I've watched it maybe 3 or 4 times.
It's a shame that you have to put it in the same category.
I know. It's better than Twilight on this list, though. It's the film that it's copying. I actually think it's better than Twilight. Because at least Vitaly Versace, who's the director of The Last Vampire on Earth, wasn't trying for, mega blockbuster success. He was just trying to copy. And copy he did. Honestly, after watching Twilight, there are many more beats that are copied than I originally realized in The Last Vampire on Earth. And they actually, I think, work better in The Last Vampire on Earth. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. But that film is hilarious.
I need to rewatch it.
Yes, it is so good. And by the way, it's not a satire. He's not trying to make fun of Twilight. He's actually just trying to make his own Twilight that's good. And it's also awful. But there's an Oscar speech at the end I highly recommend. Then we have The Room, which is a classic. everyone knows about The Room. I don't have much to say about that. But Tommy Wiseau wasn't trying to make, a cult classic, so he gets that. The Neon Demon is probably another hot take for a lot of filmmakers, although not nearly as hot as Don't Look Up. Kai says, is Last Vampire another watched it at college movie? Kind of, yeah.
We watched it several times.
It's so good. It's so good. Oh gosh, it's free on YouTube, by the way. If you guys want to watch it on Vitaly Versace's channel, you should. I highly recommend it. Like, no cap for your own enjoyment. Neon Demon is a cult favorite for a lot of people. I think it's one of the most like vacuous movies I've ever watched. It's also like literally disgusting. There's literally like the movie's kind of about like the abuse of children who go into like pageantry and like modeling and stuff like that. Then the movie simultaneously abuses I think it's Dakota Fanning or something like this. I can't remember who the child actor is. She's under 18 in the actual film. Like, she's, you know what I mean? Like, that's insane. Like, I hate that stuff. Like, with a burning passion. Like, you ought not perpetuate the problem while you criticize it. It makes no sense. You're disingenuous, and you should not be in film. Goodbye. That's my take on that one. Plus, it's also like not a good film, regardless of the weird sexualization of children. Fred Claus, I don't think I have to say much. Away from Her is a film about dementia, I believe, and I barely remember it, which is probably why it's 1.5. Amelie, oh, that's funny. I just made a pun with that by accident. Barely remember it. Whoops. Kai said, is this like what happened with the Cuties film a few years ago? Yeah, exactly. It is reprehensible. There's literally no excuse for it. The filmmakers know what they're doing. I don't buy the you just don't understand my art. I was trying to expose you to what these children are exposed to. If you don't like it, then you should go fight the... No, not at all. Not at all. If the same people who would enjoy the other stuff would enjoy your film, it's wrong. Okay? So, there you go. It's just despicable. Amelie is a French film, which, it was my first exposure to French film. And that wasn't a good thing. And honestly, I've been scared of French cinema ever since. I'm not gonna lie. It's also a highly rated film. It's considered a French classic, actually. So this is also a hot take. And there's just gratuitous sex scenes in this film that literally add nothing. And I've seen several French films after this that do the same thing. And remove my personal objection to that, or I think objective objection to that. But like, it literally doesn't serve a purpose. You know what I mean? It's literally gratuitous. And it's like a lot of the film. So there's like literally no explainable artistic value to it in Amelie. That's not my only problem. I thought that the film was also vacuous. It didn't really have anything interesting to say about life. It was one of those just like blatantly postmodern and boring films. So I'm really not a fan of like hyper postmodern films, if you haven't noticed already on the show. Office Christmas Party is just awful. Not funny. Captain Marvel, you should go check out our first episode where I go on an epic rant on Captain Marvel, and I won't spoil more than that. Rush Hour 3 is sad that it's on there, just because Jackie Chan and what's his name?
Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker are a fantastic duo in Rush Hour 1 and 2, but unfortunately 3 was reboot syndrome. That's all I'll say about that. The chemistry was not exploited correctly. It was still there. You could still tell that they vibed really well on set and on camera, and that they're buddies, like literal buddies in real life, because of Rush Hour 1 and 2. But the buddiness didn't really come off very well because the writing was just so awful. One of the most disappointing films of all time. Then we've got Barbie, which is also a hot take. I've explained that before. Just just like postmodern vomit on a screen. I don't know what else. Like, there's not much for me to say about this film. To me, it has nothing interesting to say. One of the most disappointing films by a new filmmaker. So there you go. Kai says Captain Marvel was passable as an action buddy comedy. If you're entering the market into the mix, I can see dropping it a star from there. Lol. Yeah. Captain Marvel is just a crazy film. Rogue One is a really hot take. I'm sure Ben disagrees with me on this one.
I don't think it's that great of a film, but it's definitely not the worst Star Wars film at all. So
No, it's not.
It should not be the lowest Star Wars film on your rating.
Well, this one's of even rating, so actually, it's one of even rating.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's a 2.
Man, the next Star Wars. Okay, sorry, we're gonna get some hot takes eventually.
Seriously, yeah. Let's see here. Rogue One, I gave it a 2, which now we're in the 2 category. Now we're like in a slightly less than average, like, zone. I don't know if parsing that is worthwhile, but that's what it is. So Rogue One was in the era of, I think we've talked about Arrival a lot on the Discord, and I find that has the same problem. It's the same era, and there were a lot of films that had the same style of empty main female character. What I mean by empty is that they're like very voiceless, like extremely voiceless, like they barely speak, and it's one thing to be quiet. It's another thing to be, I think, to me, and I welcome the debate. I loved our talk about Arrival with Kai because it made me want to watch the film again and really sink my teeth into my thoughts about it. So please engage. It's not a bad thing to disagree with me. But for me, that era of films where we got female leads that were just felt vacuous, their silence seemed like a substitute for depth, if that makes sense. It's that we were supposed to read into their longing stares into the distance. It's like the Dune syndrome to me, and that's also a hot take. But it's that was my biggest critique. The other critique is.
Like a video game protagonist.
Yeah, except even worse because you're not even sympathizing through acting to the character, right? Like you're just kind of like following a dead body along, which is, a hot take. I know, but one thing about Rogue One that I thought other than that it was an average film, meaning like I'd give it like take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Other than that, it was an average action film to me. The best part about that film is the ending scene is so good. It's like absurdly good to the point where like it like you like, oh, you can make films. Like the scene with Darth Vader at the end, I thought was going to be the entire point of the film, which was the I guess helplessness of being before a Jedi or Sith. I thought that was going to be like the sort of like mode the film was going to go with because of the characters that we were choosing, right? And I kind of got disappointed because it kind of felt like a buddy hero movie, and I don't know. That's just kind of average to me, So there you go. Flight, I barely.
At least we get Andor out of it.
That's true. Kai says. I bet that was a hot take. Hold my cocoa. Yeah, I've got a lot of hot takes going on. My Night Crime says the ending was pretty exciting. The ending is absolutely savage to Rogue One. Sometimes I literally play it to remind myself that the Star Wars universe is cool. Because it's just that good. Except for the ending shot where it gets creepy with Leia. Uncanny valleying us, which was unappreciated at the end. But the idea, I get it. I got the idea. Kai says, I couldn't think of a good hold my drink for hotter takes. Yeah. Flight, I barely remember at all. Wolf of Wall Street, I just don't get the point of the film. That's a hot take. my least favorite Scorsese film by like a long shot. I literally don't get the point of this film to Scorsese, to anybody. I thought it wasn't even entertaining to watch people just be degenerates for like, I don't know, 2 hours. It's not even that aspect of it. Like, it just like, it's just like, I just didn't get the point of the film. Like, I was just like, okay. At the end of it, I was like, that was well shot. There were characters, there were actors that are really great. But what's the point? Maybe I missed the point. I just didn't get the point of the film. Cars 2, which I guess 99 Crime disagrees with. I actually don't even remember much of it. So, I actually am not a big fan of the Cars franchise, period. I think it's Pixar's worst series. Yeah. How's the music in Cars, Ben, by the way?
I literally I haven't seen Cars since I was like, when it came out. What was it, like 2004 or something?
Okay, well,
I don't remember it at all. And I don't think I've ever seen any of the other ones, so I suppose it has music.
Hold on,
I think Cars 2 is the one with the spies, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. They went from racing, which makes sense, with cars, to spies? And then a whole, like was it like a gas, like a gas, something like gas, or no, about lemon cars or something. I don't know, something like that.
Yes. Let's see here. I think I gave my camera back online. Oh. It's gonna work. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think the Cars franchise is kind of weird, and it kind of it felt to me that 2 and 3 were made for toys. I don't remember why I had that impression, but I just literally forget those films because I thought they were quite forgettable. Sorry, I don't have much more to say on that. 99 Crime says, dang, Cars is a classic. People usually hate Cars 2 specifically, though, and I never really understood it. The last movie was really grounded, and it was nice to get something kind of fresh but in universe. Yeah. Honestly, I don't remember much from it, so I can't really like counter that point. But you might have a point. B movie. Which is definitely a so bad it's good movie as well.
I guess. I think it's just bad.
I think the bad is really entertaining. But listen, I gave it a 2 though, because honestly, it was really going for just being the plainest children's movie, like, you know, ever. And it honestly is a very plain children's movie. In rethinking about it, probably should be a 1.5, but you know, I'll give it the half point extra bonus. 99 Crime is gonna get mad at me by the end of this. He says, B movie, OMG, that's another crazy take. B movie's a trip, but it's so good, OMG. There are so many lines in there that are so crazy. So crazy. Kai says, Irving, did you ever see the PBS Idea channel called B movie, but every time they say B, we explain the deal with B movie? No, I have not. It's such a memeable film on like every level. I love just the dialogue is so crazy. It's just insane. Oh gosh, Jurassic World.
By the way, it's getting kind of late. We might want to skip some movies.
Okay, I'll speed through some of these. Let's do like a speed round. Jurassic World is awful and uninspired. Knight of Cups is a Terrence Malick film. It's my least favorite Terrence Malick film. I think my impression of the film was that it was so hyper-personal that I couldn't connect with it on any level and appreciate what he was trying to say through the film. I feel like for himself, he was probably expressing himself very well.
Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah. 99 Crime says, Kick Iris, that sounds incredible. It's like 11 hours. Kai says it's like 11 hours. Which Star Wars is this? I can't even read it. Is it the last one? It's probably the last one.
It's The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh gosh, Dumpster Fire. I don't think there's anything else to say about it. Dumpster Fire. Sorry, J.J. Abrams, that you didn't have control over the film. even if you did, it probably would still be not the greatest, but maybe not this bad. Isn't It Romantic is just a boring rom-com. Mank is a Oscar-nominated film that I just, like, had so much good going for it in the first act, and then in all the remaining acts, it turns into a political thriller for no reason and destroys all its all the charm that it had in the first act. The Italian Job is a harmless, I think, like, cult classic action movie. Don't feel strongly about it. The Power of the Dog, we've talked about it on the show before, Oscar-nominated film. Awfully boring, deeper than it, or wants to be deeper than it actually is, extremely transparent, and like, disappointing return of a classic filmmaker. Let's see here. Coda is a film I watched accidentally instead of the Oscar-nominated Coda. But you know, it was like a film that probably could have been good if the edit was better. Top Gun. Okay. On a personal level, Top Gun's like a 4, right? Like, easily a 4 on a personal level. This is probably the biggest rift between my personal enjoyment and the actual film's quality. It's not even a so bad it's good thing. It's just super fun. It's like of an era of film that we used to be able to have fun in films. I've talked about that briefly in a show before. And I'm also a F-14 Tomcat pilot, so that probably in a sim, not in real life, obviously. So you know, it contributes. Batman, and it's just awfully cheesy. Besides that's why it gets 2. Batman and Robin is also a very cheesy film with great set work and set design that unfortunately the writing doesn't live up to. But on a personal level, this would probably be a 3.5 because it was so enjoyable. Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. I don't have much else to say about that. Just awfully forgettable, like weird, like basically clickbait for theaters. I don't know what else to say about that. Finding Dory was a huge disappointment to me. Very extremely boring. Finding Nemo is one of my favorite films. Finding Dory I found extremely boring, and thematically not as rich as the original. So that's probably also a hot take to some people. Although I think it had mixed reviews when it came out.
It didn't really need to be made.
No, yeah, it didn't.
Like, they could have. Had it been good, it could have justified existing, but...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think it justified its existence. That's exactly correct. Then we've got a very hot take, I'm sure, which is the first Star Wars ever made. I thought it was fine. Like...
Oh, that's what that is? Okay, I can't tell from the cover.
Yes, I'm sorry to all the Star Wars fans. I've said this on the show many times. I'm just not a Star Wars fan. The universe is so fantastic, and I just, like, the films don't really live up to the promise of their universes to me, just generally speaking. At the time, breakthrough, awesome, but I don't tend to rate things in terms of infamy. Like, infamy doesn't have a place in my scale, unfortunately. Except for advancing film. Let's see here, which it does.
The invention of Lucasfilm certainly is quite important.
Yes, definitely. So I just find it to be, like, I could take it or leave it. Like, if someone's going to put on Star Wars, I feel like I'll just be in an analytical mode the whole time because it's such an important film, you know, but, you know, on a personal level and other factors, take it or leave it. Wonder Woman, I thought was rather forgettable. That's just a hot take. I thought the only thing going for it was the charisma of the main characters. I thought the plot was rather unintelligible because it's DC. Ant-Man, boring. Boyhood, let down. Like, I didn't know. I was expecting so much from that film. The acting of the main character was not good, which is not his fault because he was acting in this film since he was a boy, if you didn't know the concept of that film. Like, he grows up with the making of this film. They made this film over, like, 10, 15 years.
I feel like that's weird because, like, it's not like I don't know if got because what age did it start?
Like the age that you see him in the cover.
Okay, because I don't know. He probably doesn't understand what he's signing up for. You know, so that's my concern.
Yeah, he said he actually didn't enjoy acting as he got older, which is the biggest. It's probably why the acting is not the greatest.
Yeah.
So it's like it just didn't pay off the risk they took. Then we
Mm.
got Cars 1, which again I've talked about the Cars series. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is kind of charming, but like I feel like it could have been more interesting. That's all I'll say about that. 13 Assassins is a very disappointing Japanese film that is trying to riff on older Japanese, like classic Japanese samurai cinema, and like falls woefully short by being like so overly concerned with violence. Not that I'm opposed to like ultra-violent films per se, but like it just like it has no other point other than to have a massive battle scene that probably costs so much money, at points that draw out for so long with no strategic depth. You know what I mean? It's not like we are getting cool action sequences or interesting military strategy, which would both justify being fixated on those kinds of scenes. Instead, it's just kind of boring, like 20-minute action scenes. Captain America Winter Soldier is kind of a little self-serious to the point of cheesy sometimes, but kind of acceptable at other times, which is why it gets average. The Mist is a cult classic horror film that I thought was kind of forgettable. Pikachu, I forgot I saw this film. What context did I even see this film? Kai says, if you're interested, if you're up to it, you should switch it to, at some point, the top 10. Yeah, maybe I'll switch. Who cares about the average films? Let's just skip forward. A lot of hot takes in here. But I'll skip forward to where it starts getting good. How about that? Okay, you can see my takes there. Threes aren't that interesting. One hot take is probably Black Panther's a 3. There you go. Let's go. Lots of 3s, 3.5.
That's higher than I expected.
For what?
Black Panther.
Yeah, probably if I watched it again, I'd probably get it a 2.5. There's probably some recency bias. No, you know what? You know why I gave it a 3? Because it had better music and a more interesting design than most Marvel films, which typically average like 2.5 for me. So I think that's why I gave it to it. But does it amount to a appreciable difference holistically? Maybe it doesn't, actually. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Probably not going to watch it again.
I'm curious what the highest rated Star Wars film you have is.
Here I have... what is that? Is that...
Last Jedi?
Is that the second in the new trilogy?
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense to me. That might be my highest rated one, actually. I'm not sure.
Oh, no way. It's fine.
Oh, no. Empire Strikes Back is my top.
Empire Strikes Back better be the highest rated.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's clearly better. Okay, let's see here. 99 Crime says, but I think Dune should have worked better as a TV show rather than a movie. It's so dense and most of its charm is missing when you strip it down to fit to movie length. I suspect you're absolutely correct. That is absolutely the exact impression I got while watching it. It was like, this should probably be a show. I had the same exact opinion. Let's see here. We're still not into the 4s. Okay, now we're into the 4s where things start to get good. Oh, we have a new edition, which is Mobile Suit Gundam. I think the third or second film. I kind of watched it a little bit out of order, semi by accident because... Anyway, long story. But very surprised with that film. Very good. Thank you for the suggestion, 99 Crime. I'm watching through the show right now, actively. And it is a pleasant experience. 2001: A Space Odyssey is just visually stunning, although... not although, it's a 4 out of 5. Like, it's a great film. Just, if you watch it, just watch it for a visual feast. Don't watch it expecting to, like, go, like, 10 layers deep into a, into a trance or something like that. Watch it because that's the point of this film is to be a very 70s-esque, like, lightly postmodern, but, like, just like a trip into the beauty of filmmaking. We got La La Land. We've got A Silent Voice. We got Your Name, which is a great anime. Dead Poet Society. Okay, yada yada yada. Beast of No Nation. I don't even remember that film very well, so maybe I gotta take another look at that rating. Let's see here. Anything interesting? Great Gatsby might be a little hot take. I think most people think it's like kind of all right. I actually think it's a pretty great film. Guys, I sees lots of anime. Wait, is Irving become weeb? Okay, listen. I actually don't watch a lot of anime in like the density of stuff I watch. I don't watch that much anime. But when, like, I had friends and Daniel Matsumoto, who's a friend of mine, he's really into anime, and he introduced me to some great anime films, like phenomenal. I love anime as a medium, and I thought 2 years ago it would become mainstream in the United States when a different film came out. And Your Name was kind of like the beginning of like the new revival of anime films in the United States, but unfortunately it never materialized fully, and I think that's a shame. Japanese film is just generally great anyway. Very not postmodern, I'll say that. Let's see here. Any interesting takes on here? Not particularly. These are all great films. Nothing interesting to say about any of them.
I'm curious, though, the fact that you gave Titanic a 4.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that you thought it was kind of okay, right? Like, forgettable or something?
I don't know. It was interesting. I'm not sure how I would rate it myself.
Yeah, I probably have a undetachable personal attachment to that film because that's the first great film I'd ever watched, and I've watched that film probably inappropriately since I was probably 7. Because I was told, at least, I actually don't remember this, that my babysitter would play this movie on cassette on repeat when I was a kid. So I might have some unconscious bias for that film. But I think the filmmaking is so good in terms of just like the technique, in terms of the story is like, you know, if it was uniqueness, right, it's really not unique at all. But in structure and in theme, and you know, but that's not James Cameron's style, right? It's kind of blowing up these like very basic structures into epic and iconic sort of big picture moments, and I thought it achieved that extremely well. Especially like the Titanic sinking scenes are like some of the most riveting scenes I've ever seen. You know,
yeah, it's certainly quite dramatic. I don't know. I think maybe what confuses me about it is just I can't tell whether like the musical choice is brilliant or awful.
I actually love the music from Titanic. I love the flute. It's one of the first times I've noticed a woodwind instrument, unfortunately, in a music score, and like really thought about it. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, Chris Norman kind of makes that score.
Absolutely. Anything interesting here? 12 Years a Slave has phenomenal acting. That's Lupita Nyong'o. I don't know if I'm forgetting her name. That's her big breakout film. Were you saying, Nathan?
No, yeah, I was on the page actually before you mentioned it. Yeah, that's the actress's name.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal actress. Like just like one of the living greats of acting. Unfortunately, she doesn't do enough great films. She's in Black Panther, and she's completely unutilized properly. Just awful.
She's in Star Wars?
She's in Star Wars?
Who?
She's in the new trilogy, all of them.
Who is?
She must be the most minor of
Nyong'o?
characters.
Her name is Maz Kanata.
Oh, she plays an
Maz
animated
Kanata does
character.
appear in The Last Jedi.
I don't remember who that is.
It's an animated character.
A character who has no point in existing.
Oh, okay. I'm looking up the image. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
I had no idea that was her. That's funny.
She has a lightsaber, Luke's lightsaber, and her most useful line is saying, "Oh, it's a useful story. It's a story. Just a great story for another day," or something like that. Something like so close to that.
I see.
And of course, we'll never find out how she ends up with Luke's lightsaber, or Anakin's old lightsaber, and eventually Luke's, and the one he loses when Vader cuts off his arm and the Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. Apollo 13 is a great exercise in pace and crescendo and like all that kind of stuff. It's a classic. Like, people love the hell out of that film, but a lot of people forget that it exists, unfortunately. So you guys should check it out.
That's really high for Incredibles too. I didn't think that was anything special at all.
Oh yeah, Incredibles 2.
Where's Incredibles 1?
It's probably higher.
Okay.
Incredibles 2, like, I'm trying to even remember, actually, like, a lot about it. So maybe there's some recency bias in my rating.
I truly don't. I don't even remember anything about it except that
Incredibles 2 is about some some lady on a big ship at some point. Who's like evil or something, and I think she's a brother who's also evil. And they're supposed to be business people or something, and then I don't remember what they're doing. I remember something on a ship, a large like airship. Not was it a boat? Maybe it was a boat actually, like a boat ship.
I don't remember at all. I just remember not being impressed with it.
I remember thinking it was funny, but I know.
Yeah, I remember having fun, but I like honestly don't remember much from the film, and I will go back and change my ratings like on occasion, because like recency bias is very hard to filter out. But I also don't want to forget too much, so I try to find like a Goldilocks zone of a few days after I've watched the film. But still, sometimes it's like hard to overcome the effect. Sometimes this will happen to me, especially if I have not seen a film in a long time at the cinema. And I feel like for Incredibles 2 that had been the case. So, like, sometimes just, like, I love being in the theater so damn much. And if I'm having fun, like, that sometimes will bias the end product. But I don't remember terribly.
Do you think it's possible that you meant to put the first Incredibles? Because I'm not seeing the first one.
Really?
Oh, no, I see it. Yeah, you get the same rating. Okay, never mind. I don't know.
Okay, interesting. Not sure about that. The first one I remember quite clearly. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was very surprising. Sicario, yada, yada, yada. Okay. 10 Things I Hate About You. Shout out to Kai. I know he loves that film as well. Good film. Fargo was my introduction to the Coen brothers. Let's see. Hattie Kitty is a fantastic film. Highly recommend. On a personal enjoyment film level, I'll probably get a 5. Decalogue is a great series if you're willing to put in the 10 hours to watch it, because it's an hour each, 10 Decalogue. Anyway, let's see here. The classic Batmans I find to be rather underrated. I think they're very great films for what they are. Very charming. The set design is great. The acting is great. The plot structures are actually pretty unorthodox and pretty interesting. Let's see here.
Is that the old 310 to Yuma or the more recent one?
The old one.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the old one.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new one. Now 4.5 is where we get into, like, I think about these movies actively a lot. You know what I mean? Like, these films, like, probably changed me in some way. 99 Crime, throw that VHS back, watch it on VHS just for the kick, and just throw it back in, and you'll have the most fun of your life. Let's see, A Quiet Place, Whiplash, Restrepo, which is a brutal documentary about the Afghanistan war. Probably, it might be the highest ranked documentary I have on here, I'm not sure. Just brutal. Yeah, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Anyway, Inglourious Bastards, Tarantino, Interstellar. In retrospect, I might actually bump that down to 4. I'm not sure. The Prestige, I would not bump down. That is a fantastic Nolan film. Memento, another fantastic Nolan film, when he used to do smaller things and not crazy stuff. Let's see, Star Trek Into Darkness is a very hot take. That film has a lot of mixed reviews. I think it's a masterclass in pace and peak J.J. Abrams. I could say more about that, but that's for another day. Forrest Gump is a classic. Dark Knight is what got me into film, and also I've seen it maybe 10 times. So I've not been more critical to a film than The Dark Knight, and I have a lot of critiques of it, but they're all like reached the level of sort of nitpick because I've just watched it that many times. So 4.5. Saving Private Ryan I've probably seen like 4 times. It's a classic film. Up is come on. Do I have to say like come on? Like, you know what I mean? Like we all understand that. It's just the human soul just responds to Up, obviously, and it's not arbitrary. It's because it's great filmmaking. 99 Crime says the new 310 to Yuma is actually great. I've read the original story that both films are based on, and the new film knocks the short story out of the park. No idea how it compares to the old film.
Yeah,
I think Ben didn't like it as much. Or you did.
I quite enjoyed the film.
Cool. I've heard good things about it too. 99 Crime says, who killed Captain Alex? Absolutely. Okay, a lot of people would put that in the so bad it's good category, but they have no understanding of what that means. Are we on that page yet? Oh yeah, we are. Okay. They have no understanding of, like, the film is actually supposed to be ridiculous. It's actually supposed to be funny. It's not like, you know, like, people don't understand that it's satire. So, as satire, it's not so bad it's good. It's a satire. And it's one of the funniest films, no cap, like, because of the talent. It's not because it's crappily, like, filmed. That's the point, is that it's crappily filmed. They took their advantage of not having resources. If you didn't know, this was filmed in Wakaliwood, Uganda. And it's such a charming, beautiful, beautiful movie.
I'm glad that Letterboxd understood, because it has very high reviews.
Yes. It didn't always, by the way. The reviews used to be a 1.5 before, like...
oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. That's how bad people misunderstood this film. It's supposed to be a satire of action movies. If you don't get that, I don't know what... I don't know. Like, it's pretty obvious that it's supposed to be a satire. But it's so charming. It's so good. Great filmmaking. Even great writing. Like, it's actually a unironically great film. Coco is my favorite Pixar film. By far. It made me cry, actually. Straight up.
Song to Song is a good... I want to rewatch that film.
Oh, yeah. Song to Song is... I recommended that to someone online today, I believe. But Song to Song is such a good film. It's kind of brutal, too, in its own way. Yes.
As I recall, yes. But I remember it's the ending being really powerful.
Yes. Yeah, if you want to... Like, Terrence Malick is, like... Everyone should go watch... You know, most of Terrence Malick's films are a trip into a different kind of filmmaking than you've probably seen. Very poetic, that's the way to put it. Poetic filmmaker. But still digestible for most people, I think, as long as you just go into it with an open mind. Let's see here. Anything else interesting? Erased is a show, actually, but it's I think my favorite anime ever. It's ridiculously good. I was so sad when it ended. Please go watch Erased. It's life-changingly good.
You also have a comedy special on here.
Oh, Dave Chappelle. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know they had comedy specials on here, and then I looked it up. I was like, oh, okay. Dave Chappelle's probably my favorite comedian. Hilarious dude. Not that I'm terribly into comedy or anything. We've got a few
movie.
Reference to Who Killed Captain Alex.
Yeah.
We've got 2 Hitchcocks making an appearance. Vertigo, I think, is one of the best masterpieces in filmmaking ever. It's so... Like, I could spend hours and hours and hours dissecting how masterfully done it is. It is one of the greatest feats of writing ever. And it's just so good.
The music is so good too. I know I talked a lot about that in some show a long time ago.
Absolutely. I remember the music aiding the movie so well. Psycho is also very good, but not as interesting, but still very good. Let's see, you got Pulp Fiction, which everyone loves. We got the rest of Decalogue reaching the highs of 4.5. We've got Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is probably the most recent film this high on the list. Definitely changed the way I looked at films. Just very out of the box thinking in terms of how to inhabit a common structure. Lady Bird, which is why I was so disappointed with Barbie. Sad. Although
Lady
in
Bird's
retrospect,
too high.
yeah, I think in retrospect I'd probably bump it down to a 4. But there's probably some recency bias as well with that film because I hadn't seen a film that attempted to be that meaningful in a long time at that point. I'd seen so many films in a row that just didn't mean much. Okay. Shutter Island, our first 5. Shutter Island is one of my favorite Scorsese films, and it is the only film I've ever watched to take on new themes as you rewatch it, and written on purpose to do so. That is, like, if you've only seen Shutter Island once and you were like, oh, the twist, now I'm reinterpreting the film, no, you're wrong. Go watch it again. The theme of the film will change. I can't spoil it, right? But, like, because spoiling it would literally ruin some of the most beautiful aspects of this film. So, like, spoilers are evil for this film. But the film becomes a different movie when you watch it again. So I've watched it 3 times. It's so good. Silence, I saw in the cinema, one of the most criminally underwatched films. It had so much critical acclaim, too, so much critical attention. No one saw it because Paramount doesn't know how to market anything anymore. And Scorsese didn't force them either. There Will Be Blood is probably my favorite film of all time. Like, on every level. Like, you know, on this scale and on a personal level. So good. I should do an episode just about There Will Be Blood. It would probably take me forever. I should do a series on There Will Be Blood. Highly recommend it. Django Unchained. Oh, come on. Like, just go watch Django Unchained. There's nothing else to say about it. It's one of the funnest movies you could ever possibly watch if you're not sensitive to cartoon violence. Fight Club might be too high on here, too. I'd probably give it a 4.5. Kai says, what do you mean lots of people saw Silence? Catholics who wanted to know how to feel about it. Unfortunately, that's the only people who saw it. So, and by the way, the rhetoric around this film, I'm not going to get too much into it. That's probably, I have it scheduled on my episode list, a episode called In Defense of Silence that I will do eventually. I wholeheartedly think that people came at this movie with such an incorrect point of view of how the movie was going to end that it actually colored the first time I watched the film as well. And I semi-misinterpreted it the way I watch, which is why I like to avoid people talking about films beforehand. It is such a meditation on very deep questions. If it truly was the film people thought it was, I would agree with the critique on the subject matter, right? Not on the merits of the film itself, but I would agree with the people's critique with the subject matter. But not just the merits of the film, but even its final messaging. Like, watch the final shot again and ask yourself, what does Scorsese mean? Because I think there was fake news about the ending of the film. Let's see. Fight Club. Yeah, probably too high. Winnie the Pooh, best animated film ever created. That's also probably like too affected by personal things. But I literally can't stop laughing when watching Winnie the Pooh. It is the most joyful, funny experiences ever. It's so charmingly and inoffensively funny. Let's see. 99 Crime says, why I saw Winnie the Pooh in theater, another memory unlocked. The old one? Probably not. This is like one of the oldest renditions of Winnie the Pooh, if not the oldest.
1977, it says.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you saw some sort of interesting classic reshowing. To the Wonder is one of my favorite films of all time. It changed the way I look at filmmaking forever, and I'm indebted to the film for that. I'm not a Terrence Malick filmmaker. The films I make aren't going to be that kind of style, but it's just not me. But to open up to the sort of poetic form of film is just invaluable. To just break into that sometimes, and to feel okay, I guess, exposing the beautiful more literally sometimes. Because while it is poetic, it's actually more literal than I think a lot of people believe. It's not hiding under 3 layers of abstraction. It's being very overt. And it's very great. It's a great film. A Hidden Life is another Terrence Malick film. It's his most recent. Probably should bump that down to 4.5, but it's a great film. The Departed. Oh, come on. I don't think it. I mean, come on. Watch The Departed. I don't know what to say. Citizen Kane. Come on. Come on. Like, Citizen Kane is one of the most like me filmmaking I've ever watched. It's like if you took the way I like to write and think about cinema and, like, did it better than I probably ever could, you get Citizen Kane. And I actually understand why that some people might not like it, though. So if that's you, there are reasons I could probably articulate why you might not like it. My idea of filmmaking, or the movies I'd probably make, are probably a little bit more accessible than Citizen Kane, but still a great film. That's a Wonderful Life. Come on, I've talked about this on the show a zillion times. One of the best displays of like economy in film, and I like economy a lot. Like, it's one of the most unexpected experiences I've ever had is like experiencing economy through a classic, what usually is a Christmas movie. Fantastic movie. Acting is phenomenal. It's infectious. Just insanely good. The filmmaking, the writing, the last act even, which was such a hard thing to pull off, right? Because we get like magic realism at the end. You could really easily derail, but threads the needle just perfectly so that we stay attached. Let's see, Decalogue 1 and 9 make a 5. Oh, 1 was so good. There's nothing to say about it that wouldn't spoil it. What's 9? Let's see here. Oh, Masterclass in Tension. I remember now. Oh, gosh. Like, one of the most tense things I've ever watched. Sound of Music is a recent addition to my ranking. I'd seen it before, but not recent enough for me to remember how to rate it. And I would love for Ben to do a breakdown of the music one day. And Twilight, not topping the list, but ending up all the way over here because it's not ranked. Reminds us of what the worst film I've ever seen was. There you go. That was long, but hopefully fun. So what were your biggest, I want to know in the chat, biggest disappointments, biggest surprises, recommendations you might take, stuff like that.
I'll volunteer that you have no Tarkovsky in like 4 and above. I'm not sure if you have any Tarkovsky.
I have no Tarkovsky. That's the problem. I need to watch Tarkovsky. I have literally 2 or 3 Tarkovsky films like sitting on my shelf, but I need to actually watch them.
Andrei Rublev.
I don't think I have that one. I have what do I have? I have what's the space one called?
Solaris.
I have Solaris, and I have like what's his most like? It's like probably his most like revered one.
Either Mirror or Stalker.
Stalker. That's what I have.
Okay, Stalker. That I saw that with our friend Kelsey back in college. We saw that at some theater downtown. And probably the most incredible cinematic experience I've ever had.
I believe it. Can't wait to get into it. I have a few other Russian films too. I'm so ready to dive into this world of filmmaking.
Иди смотри, or come and see is incredible.
Yes. I think I bought that too. I don't remember entirely, but
I need to. I should buy that. That's so good, so good.
99 Crime says, "Oh, I was thinking of Piglet's big movie." Oh, okay, yeah. I haven't seen any of the newer ones. 99 Crime also says, "Have you seen The Third Man and Touch of Evil? There's some other Orson Welles flicks, really great thrillers. I have not. According to Mank, Orson Welles should have no credit for Mank the movie. Orson Welles should get no credit for the film. I understand that that's actually a really complicated subject, actually, and the film kind of oversimplified it. That's what a lot of people say, at least, who are into cinema history. So I don't know anything about Orson Welles as a person, but given how great Citizen Kane is, I'm happy to watch some more Orson Welles." There you go. So there you go. Follow me on Letterbox'd at IGAROX, or just search up Irving Nestor on Letterboxd. You'll find me. And if you follow me, you'll see when I make new ratings, and I'll follow you back, guaranteed, because I like seeing people who actually know how they rate things, and I won't judge you. Just find it interesting. So there you go.
I need to add some more things to mine. My rating system is not nearly as precise as yours.
Yeah. I think it's just fun. I mean, I really want to redo. I think I did a attempt at a loose treatment on the objectivity of film from a sort of philosophical or objectivity of beauty, rather. I have a much more solid understanding of it, and it might be interesting, I will say, to our nerdy audience. So I think I will come back at that topic sometime in the future. But the most interesting thing, I think, about thinking about these things in a way that doesn't just purely subjectivize what you're looking at, is you find yourself oftentimes thinking of really high principles that are just really useful to meditate on, period, and kind of shape the way you, I think, perceive a lot of the world, and, I don't know, for me at least, deepens my appreciation for art as a whole. A lot of the films that I even don't like, I just like that someone tried to make something good, especially if it's in earnest, So, I can throw shade at people, but art is an endeavor that's can be quite sacred. So it has a high priority and value in my life. So there you go. And we'll probably go through Aquinas for those of you who care. I know that's controversial. I used to disagree with him quite vehemently on the topic of aesthetic, and over time he's beaten me down as I've thought about it. So I think I want to share that.
Not even living.
Yeah, no, he's not even living to tell me why I'm wrong. You know what I mean? And I just keep reading the same literally 10 sentences. As I go on, I'm I think I'm wrong again. I think I'm wrong again. I think I'm wrong again. So I'm what's the point of disagreeing? So yeah. So there you go. And that's the show for today. If you enjoyed any of that, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps a lot get our shows up in the rankings, especially on Rumble, where it's 1-to-1. We compete directly on likes and views. It's a meritocracy over there. So please, if you can, hit the like button. The biggest thing you can do for the show is, I know the whole show might not be for everybody. It's so broad, it's so niche, I get that. But if there's an episode in our catalog that you think a specific person might like, just think for a moment, who that person might be, and share that episode. And hopefully they enjoy it. You never know if they might enjoy other stuff on the podcast too, because of that one episode. And we'd appreciate that very much. We also appreciate our 5 awesome supporters at mixedmedia.locals.com. That's 99 Crime, Kai, Post, Rob Sharma, and Alex Egbert. Thank you so much for supporting us for $5 a month at mixedmedia.locals.com. It's changed the show already in the sense that it's not a constantly dying show that needs to be reevaluated whether it should exist per se. But one with a community and one with support that makes it a net zero. And any more that anybody can give will help immensely. I know a lot of people end up watching this in post. So yeah. Anyway, that's Mixed Media for this week. We'll see you again next week. Maybe at Monday at 7:30. I actually don't know. We haven't settled on our schedule change yet.
Oh, next week school starts.
Yeah, I just remembered that.
Interesting. I'll figure it out. I forget this time. I'm pretty sure. But.
Okay. Well, we'll let you know if there's a schedule change. And yeah, I think did I say everything?
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Sweet. Well, see you next week. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching and listening.
Look, tell a man no trouble. I don't want beef, man. I just want vibes. Big man like me, no need for the telephone hype. I got too much getting online. One rule, then dead I'm on site. Wrong move, I bet they gon' ride. No need for the telephone hype, nah. No need for the snoozing. Big whip outside, I'm cruising. Big stick inside, no losing. Better watch out for the snake and Judas is. Don't ask them who this is. I bet they know what I'm moving in. I bet I show it into a dim. How you hate and then lose again? How you hating my vibes? Why you wasting my time? Getting hype on my line. Tell a man I don't want feedback, I just want relax. Brand new whip, two-tone, I need that brand new hit. You know, like lean back, brand new bits I live in. We back, man, you never gon' like us. Get them on sight now, let them on light. That way they know I'm more righteous. Look at my life, I'm living alright. I'm nice, you know I'm alright. Cause looking like Christ, no need for the hype or fight.